But so I've got my Super Nintendo Classic Edition queued up here. But we're gonna start off. I like to provide a lot of historical context for my games, which means we're actually going to be reading the issue of Nintendo Power, which originally teased Super Mario RPG. And this is an interesting period, especially as we get later into the game's actual release. It's easy to forget that this was sort of a bridge period between the 2D era and the 3D era. You know, I say 3D era because now we have plenty of 2D and 3D games coming out. But at the time, it seemed like a transition from 2D to 3D. In the same way that we transitioned from silent movies to movies with sound, the same way we transitioned from black and white movies to color movies, the same way we transitioned from horse and wagon, or horse and stagecoach, to automobiles and trucks and buses. It seemed like a one-way, obvious progression. If you look at E3 1995, and thank you, Kalakaboy, for your subscription. If you look at it's easy to forget looking back, like, 95, PlayStation was out, Saturn was out, 96, N64 is out. But even into 97, you're still seeing a lot of coverage of 16-bit games. It was still very much a part of a part of what was going on. So we're gonna be just browsing through this. We're not gonna be looking too much at the cover stories other than right here, you've got the preview for Super Mario RPG. And then, and sometimes I do get my dual monitor set up. I think it will be okay just to look on the side here. And hey, Kalakaboy, I don't know if you caught this, but it's actually today's 3 years ago today, I did my very first Twitch stream with Sonic on Game Gear. And thank you. Yeah, it was been 3 years ago today, and I'm glad to still be around. Because apparently, even though I don't even average 10 viewers, apparently from what I've read, the mere fact that I'm still streaming is I'm beating the odds by a radical extent just by the fact that I'm still streaming. Now let's take a look at some of the letters to the editors, Players Pulse here, that were going on around this time. A few days ago, I read the letter section of the June issue of Nintendo Power and saw Rick Innocent's letter about how 8-year-old kids shouldn't send in letters with pictures of Game Boy bread. I like that loaf of bread, and I'm sure many people felt the same way. Nintendo is for all ages, and so is this magazine. I want to tell all people with the pictures of things to send to Nintendo Power, send them in. Also, I don't care if someone is tired of hearing about pets love Nintendo just as much as we do. I like reading letters like that. P.S. My parakeets love you as well. That's okay. Yeah, that's interesting letter. There's not really much of a response, I don't think. Yeah, so this is just stuff about... There's nothing really too extraordinary. Yeah, just get a sense of the sort of buzz or discourse that was going on into the letters for the editors section. It's Super NES Top 20, Killer Instinct, Donkey Kong Country, Mortal Kombat 3, Zelda Link to the Past, Mario World 2, Yoshi's Island, which is the cover story for this magazine. Earthbound in 9th place. Earthbound was notoriously a flop on Super Nintendo. And Kalakaboy is saying, congratulations on 3 years. Wish you had a digestive to celebrate. Yeah, it's been a couple of years. It's been at least a couple of years since I've even mentioned digestives without you bringing them up first, Kalakaboy. Now, for my setup here for the magazine portion, my chat is set up a little further to the left, whereas normally it's set over to the right. So Super Mario Kart still 19th place. Yeah, Earthbound was a flop, but in terms of looking only at Super Nintendo games, it was 9th place in terms of, I guess, the top list. Now, I don't know if this is in terms of sales or in terms of, viewer polls or what. Now, Super Mario World 2, Yoshi's Island. We'll take a brief look at this first little opening for this, just to give a sense of some of the games that were coming out at the same time. 10 years ago, an unknown plumber started his career in Brooklyn, New York. Now prepare for worldwide seismic repercussions as the long-awaited sequel to Super Mario World arrives in stores. Discover Mario's latest adventure on Yoshi's Island. Now today, Yoshi's Island is really thought of as the beginning of the Yoshi's platformer series. And then there's, I think, some people who even divide the Yoshi platformer series up between the Yoshi's Island derived games and the Yoshi's Story derived games. And I don't, but you have to remember, Super Mario World, Yoshi's Island was developed from the standpoint of it being the sequel to Super Mario World, and originally used the Super Mario World engine, so to speak. I don't know if that term technically applies in this the way the Super Nintendo's programming works, but it used the same programming of the same underlying code as Super Mario World, the same graphical style, and there was pressure to upgrade the graphics in some way to not have this look so obsolete compared to Donkey Kong Country, and they went with this coloring book style as a result. Over 60 levels and 130 types of enemies, Yoshi's Island is packed with variety and challenge. If you played the original Super Mario World, you remember going on a perfect score by finding all the exits in every level of the game. When you insert the sequel, you'd better make sure you have lots of extra time if you want to see everything in Yoshi's Island. If you need to collect all of the special items in every level of the game. Special items consist of stars, red coins, and flowers. When you complete a level, a chalkboard tallies your finds. You can check the results of the layer select screen and so forth. We're gonna play this on stream eventually, and we'll come back and check it out at that point. Now this is what I do. I'm just taking a peek. This is my first time properly reading this, actually. After 4 years of development, Yoshi's Island, the sequel to Super Mario World, is finally here. Outstanding and unique graphics, smooth play control, and a wide variety of levels and enemies make this battery-backed game worth every minute of the wait. Game graphics are unique in texture and design. High-octane eye candy for the most jaded video game enthusiasts. Yoshi's Island employs the Super FX2 chip, but don't expect the polygon structures typical of other FX games like Star Fox and Stunt Race FX, and which are both games we will be playing in the future. In this game, the chip's polygon effects are subtle and deeply embedded within the program. Various enemies change shape and size via metamorphation, a special programming technique available only to the Super FX2 chip. And it's not just a visual treat. Yoshi's Island possesses qualities of universal appeal to all players. Relatively easy early stages allow beginners to progress through the game, while special levels devour video game veterans. Now, this is, I think Mario RPG also uses the FX2 chip. Now let's keep up with chat here. Oh, and Collectible is saying, to let you know, you watched episode 5 of His Dark Materials. Lyra's kidnapped at the end. She'll be forced into that machine that separates humans from their demons. Oh, yeah. Okay, so you got pretty far into the HBO His Dark Materials series, which is something I was covering earlier in the year through the audiobook. I tried to, I don't know, I was going to play the Golden Compass game for the Wii. I even set up a layout for it, a scene in my broadcast software, but I found that even on Wii U, playing Wii games on there, I'm a retro gamer. The only reason I did not have any HD monitors of my possession until it was time to start streaming. I had to get a newer computer and monitors that could run Nintendo Switch and all that. I honestly did not have any modern monitors, so I don't care about definition, resolution, and graphical quality, but running a Wii game on the Wii U and putting it through my capture card, it did not look that good. It looked very poor to the point where I'm like, yeah, I'm not into this. I'm gonna have to find some other solution for my Wii games eventually. Now, all right, so this is probably, at least for North American gamers who relied mainly on Nintendo Power, the official Nintendo of America magazine, this is very likely the first they might have ever heard of Super Mario RPG. There might have been a teaser in the last issue. I didn't take a look saying that they were going to be covering this, but while you were sleeping, something magical sprang to life. A new Mario adventure featuring ACM graphics hatched out of Squaresoft in Japan. Nintendo Power now brings you exclusive screenshots of one of the most advanced video games ever conceived. It's interesting, never so specifically. We'll read magazine coverage I don't know, it's just not, just thinking of this as one of the most advanced games ever made, certainly for the Super Nintendo, certainly for 16-bit, but in a world where PlayStation and Saturn are already on the market, saying it's kind of pushing it a bit. Now, this is pushing the Super Nintendo to its limits. Okay. There we go. For more than a year, Squaresoft and Nintendo Company Limited have been quietly developing this extraordinary new 3D adventure for the Super Famicom, the Japanese version of the Super NES, starring the world's most heroic plumber. The game will feature 32 megabits of rendered graphics and a battery-backed-up memory. The striking thing about Super Mario RPG is the stunning 3D scenes in three-quarter perspective. The game graphics were created by Squaresoft on SGI workstations and supercomputers using ACM graphics. Only Rare's Donkey Kong Country, Donkey Kong Country 2, and Killer Instinct can compare to the graphics found in Super Mario RPG. On the Nintendo side, Shigeru Miyamoto has overseen the development project of his favorite character. The partnership between Nintendo and Squaresoft is nothing new, but the Super Mario RPG project should be the biggest collaboration of all, resulting in one of the most exciting games of 1996. Yeah, this was back when Squaresoft and Nintendo were very close partners and friends. This game came out in 96. By 1997, Square and Nintendo, Square went exclusive to PlayStation because Nintendo wanted to stick with cartridges for N64, and Square wanted to experiment with full motion video and CD quality sound, which would be extremely expensive to fit on a cartridge. For instance, there's one magazine ad for Final Fantasy VII saying something to the effect that if Final Fantasy VII were released on cartridge, it would have to cost nearly $2,000 at the time. You know, that's in like, you know, the money of 25 years ago. RPG or adventure? The radically new, at least for Mario, perspective may remind players of action games such as Equinox, but the mix of adventure and action gameplay elements should place Mario RPG in a category closer to Legend of Zelda: Link to the Past. The use of the term RPG in this case may be a bit of a mismatch. Super Mario RPG is the official Japanese title, but no title has been decided for a US release. I don't know that they're okay. I was about to say Nintendo's wrong here, but I mean they are, but they're very carefully choosing their words and terminology here, because from what I understand, Square was basically talking to Nintendo about how the US market really isn't picking up on RPGs. Final Fantasy, Dragon Quest, or Dragon Warrior as it was known in North America, they had a cult following, but I mean there's a reason of the 3 Final Fantasy games on Super Nintendo, only 2 of them came out in North America. Only 1 Final Fantasy game from from Famicom came out in North America on the NES. Final Fantasy VI was released in North America as Final Fantasy III. Like, Square is aware that there's not much of a following. They're trying to increase the popularity of these games. I remember hearing a bit about kids I know, or people I hear complain about what they would call reading games. Like, they thought of a game as like an action game, a platformer, a shooter, whether that's a first-person shooter or like a side-scrolling shooter, something like Zero Wing or Gradius. RPGs were a bit of an acquired taste, and Square was basically like, hey, Nintendo, we want to make them popularize RPGs, and they'd already released a Final Fantasy game spin-off called Final Fantasy Mystic Quest, which was a entry-level role-playing game specifically made for the Western market to try to popularize role-playing games outside of Japan. And at the time, I mean, nowadays, not so much as before, but I used to see a lot of opinions of, like, oh, Squaresoft insulted American players by releasing Final Fantasy Mystic Quest, this watered-down RPG, and they think, you know, Americans are stupid, but it's like, it's very easy in a post-Pokemon, post-Final Fantasy VII world, where RPGs are very mainstream. In the earlier 90s, RPGs were a very niche genre, and I think it's kind of cool that Square dedicated their work, resources, and money into making an entry-level RPG specifically to try to popularize role-playing games in the West. So here, when you see Nintendo saying, this is the official Nintendo magazine, this is written by Nintendo of America employees. And when they say Mario RPG should be in a category closer to Legend of Zelda: Link to the Past, the use of the term RPG in this case may be a bit of a mismatch. And really, now this game is a flat-out, traditional, true-blooded, purebred role-playing game, a Japanese role-playing game, a JRPG as it would come to be called. But Nintendo is kind of trying to liken it a bit more to Legend of Zelda: Link to the Past, which is, at the time, Legend of Zelda: Link to the Past was often considered an action RPG. By today's standards, absolutely not. Like, you'll get made fun of if you call Zelda an RPG or an action RPG these days, for the most part. And even, like, I was in a forum within the last year, a gaming forum, a Nintendo-centric forum, where there was an argument going on if Zelda was an RPG, and I was saying, hey, you know, Zelda, you know, by today's standards, it's not an RPG, but you have to remember when sometimes people might call it that because in the 90s, it wasn't uncommon in North American gaming magazines for it to be described as an RPG or a JRPG. And even posting actual magazine scans referring to Legend of Zelda: Ocarina of Time as the first great RPG for N64, people will still try to gaslight me pretty much and say, no one called it that, you're just making stuff up, you're trying to push a narrative. And I'm like, I'm not trying to prove that Zelda is an RPG, I'm just showing you period literature, which is why having these original magazines and publications accessible is such an important thing for keeping sense of the history of games, how people related to and talked about games. Now, Kalakaboy is saying that they're excited for this stream, wish they made more RPG games in this style. Paper Mario is a spin-off in this style, but they would have preferred a style more of the Super NES RPG, more of the traditional JRPG format. Now, I was explaining I just keep up with my mom, and I was telling her, what I'm doing, I'll be streaming Mario RPG, and I was basically said, Super Mario RPG is an RPG with Mario in it. Paper Mario is a Mario game with RPG elements in it. And I think that explains the difference between Paper Mario and Super Mario RPG very well. Now, Paper Mario was developed to be the sequel for Super Mario RPG, but because of the feud, the splitting of ways between Square and Nintendo, and apparently, well, I mean, it's evident that because of the way the trademarks and copyrights were handled for this game, somehow, I believe to some extent or another, the trademark for Super Mario RPG was either partially owned or entirely owned by Square, or for some reason required Square's specific permission in order for Nintendo to use it for a game that was not published by Square. And so Nintendo ended up changing the name. They kind of snuck in unused backgrounds. You see things that if you look at the early screenshots of Paper Mario, you see it being called Super Mario RPG 2. Now, it's kind of interesting with Super Mario RPG, the game was barely on the market when Shigeru Miyamoto was already talking about a sequel for Nintendo 64. So let's keep going. Let's keep reading this preview material. The game features traditional RPG elements such as exploring and talking to characters and towns to gain information, but there will be lots of action. There will be a lot of action too. Battles with enemies, which take place in real time and in 3 dimensions. No, that's okay. Battles which take place in real time and in 3 dimensions. That's objective. Nintendo's either they only had screenshots to go off of, or Nintendo of America is explicitly misrepresenting the game. They talk about battles in real time. No, the battles are 100% turn-based. Yeah, the battles are strictly turn-based. Battles will take place in 3 dimensions, and the player in total control of Mario. In total control of Mario. They're really trying to. Yeah, this is fascinating. They're misrepresenting this as being an action game. Who stomps, jumps, dashes, and uses other special attacks. Most of the gameplay involves making your way through maze areas filled with obstacles and enemies, and there's a definite puzzle element involved. To pass through a room, you may have to dodge a salvo of bullet bills, or recreate a tune by hopping across musical tadpoles. In one room, you'll find a bridge made from a giant bolt. Mario hops up and down to turn a huge nut to have it travel along the threads of the bolts, carrying Mario to the far side of the bridge. That's the sort of inventiveness you expect in a Mario game, and Square delivers. Throughout these action areas, you'll also find blocks filled with coins, mushroom 1-up stars, and other items familiar to Super Mario Bros. Square and Nintendo have blended classic elements with novelty. Mario's makeover continues. Keeping up with chat here. Excuse me. Doesn't this game use clay models? You always thought the characters have a clay animation look to them. This game uses CG models. It uses Silicon Graphics Workstation developed models in a similar way to the Donkey Kong Country games. I do not know why. I'll have to look into this, but for some odd reason, my chat within my broadcast software has like a 4 or 5 second delay on it compared to the compared to my feed. Like, I see the feed of my chat appearing over my webcam superimposed on my feed before it actually appears in the window. That's interesting. Yeah, these aren't clay models, but they do use the artwork here, like a Bowser, this Bob-omb, and here's this mouse enemy, and here's Mario. They do emphasize the 3D look, which sort of lends itself to the idea that these could be clay models. Mario's makeover continues this year in Yoshi's Island. He expanded his repertoire by taking on the role of Baby Mario, the mewling little tyke with the loose grip on Yoshi's reins. Next year, in Super Mario RPG, players will see the most dramatic change in Mario's 15-year history. Instead of appearing as a feisty two-dimensional sprite, the new Mario weighs in as a fully rounded character. In fact, he looks like he's been spending a little too much time at Italian restaurants. Putting Mario through his paces in Super Mario RPG might help our hero lose a few pounds. The workout will include Mario's ability to jog in 8 directions and jump up or down, giving him complete 3D motion. In previous Mario games, characters moved only left, right, up, and down. You'll have 4 times as many ways to go in Super Mario RPG. The cast. Mario's interaction with the game characters, both goodies and baddies, adds even more fullness to Super Mario RPG. Of course, Mario seldom stars alone in a video game. Where a fearless plumber travels, you'll find a loyal group of old and new friends. The difference in Super Mario RPG is that the Clog Warrior now takes time to stop for a chat with Princess Toadstool or Toad, the Mushroom Retainer, or visit a village of Yoshis. Yoshies. You know, I guess that's the proper plural form of Yoshis, but Yoshis in the plural is not very commonly used, especially in official Nintendo material. Or 9 other major characters, including, according to Square, Pinocchio. Okay, including, according to Square, Pinocchio. You know, is this a point in development where I never played through the entire game, so I don't know if Pinocchio is finished, but is this an early concept for Geno, where Geno was originally planned to be like Pinocchio? No lie. But it's a big hug fest in the mushroom. But it's not a big hug fest in the Mushroom Kingdom. As always, a cloud looms on the horizon. Baddies led by Bowser prowl the forests and mines of the kingdom. There you'll find a wonderfully animated 3D enemies such as Goombas, Koopa Troopas, Bullet Bills, Boos, Koopas. Why is Koopa Troopas a different enemy than Koopas? Bob-omb, Shy Guys, Wigglers, Chain Chomps, and Thwomps. Birdo also makes an appearance in the game, and Fishin' Lakitu drops some Mario bait into the drink. No, Fishin' Lakitu. I don't know. Okay, whatever. I don't know why they put the little apostrophe there like that. Okay. Magic Koopas cast spells in Bowser's castle, and knights in suits of armor patrol the dungeon. Just like the good characters, the baddies were rendered using ACM techniques, and the results, as you can see, are very cool. What you can't see in these shots is the amazing animation, which is... Hold on. Which is smooth, lifelike, and on par with the animation produced at Rare. The setting. The story is based on the Super Mario Bros. Series and takes place in a newly rendered Mushroom Kingdom. There's a town full... let me zoom out a bit. There's a town full of mining moles, a tropical forest, a mushroom castle, a thundering waterfall, a giant beanstalk, and a crowded village with mushroom people, just to name a few exterior locations. Inside buildings and labyrinths, Mario finds himself bouncing on trampolines, riding Mode 7 rail cars, And Mode 7 is a certain way in which the Super Nintendo could make pseudo 3D rotation of environments and objects. Conspiring with Princess Toadstool and helping her escape from prison. Characters aren't the only elements in Super Mario RPG receiving the special attention. Advanced computer modeling interior elements such as columns and stairways and exterior elements such as plants and rocks are all created using ACM techniques. Special lighting effects create the shadows and reflection that give the 3D elements full realistic appearance. In the Mushroom Kingdom castle, sunlight slants in through windows that seem to shine on columns. Super Mario RPG is truly a feast for the eyes and for the ears. Square's theme music sounds as rich as the game looks. The wait begins. So at the time this article was written, Squaresoft was reporting that the game was about 70% complete and it would be done by the end of October. No definite date for release in the US has been set, but we expect the game to come out in the first quarter of '96, published by Nintendo of America. In Japan, the Super Famicom version will be published by Squaresoft. In the meantime, look to Nintendo's Power's Epic Center for more news on this upcoming masterpiece. Now that's interesting. I was not aware that in Japan, this game was published by Square, but in North America, it was published by Nintendo of America. That's an interesting detail there. Now, and this is another thing I noticed when looking at 90s magazines, you'd actually see like percentages of how complete a game was. Oh, 70% complete and so on. And I didn't, I had no idea that, yeah, the idea of releasing percentages of how complete a game is very kind of obsolete at this point. Look at some of the other games being featured here. Primal Rage, Real Monsters. Yeah, I did not have Super Nintendo at this time, so I was definitely not playing this game, but I was definitely watching this show. Yeah, this is an interesting set of characters, an interesting world, in fact, that I have not watched the show in a long time now. Mega Man 7. This is the last. I think this might be the only like mainline Mega Man game on the Super Nintendo. I think they kept releasing 8-bit Mega Man games on NES while they did the Mega Man X series on Super Nintendo. Then they did Mega Man 7. Oh, you have Epics. You have Waterworld. Now let's check a look at Epic Center. Now, most of the RPGs and... Hey, Azure Est, I see you there. Now, RPGs and other epic games first see the light of day in Japan, where the category continues to be the hot seller among all types of video games. In a recent survey, the top 2 games players wanted were Dragon Quest IV and The Secret of Mana 2. Currently, the hottest ticket in RPG wars is Mystic Arc from Enix. American gamers will get their chance at Arc when it was released next year as the 7th Saga 2. Tsukuru Super Dante from ASCII, a design-it-yourself RPG that Power covered in Argel. I know, this is the first time I saw Nintendo writers, what percent a game is. Yeah, I mean, it's kind of a, it's kind of an arbitrary metric. Perhaps with the nature of game development at this time, it was a lot more reasonable to give a concrete percentage like that. But, yeah, so here they're talking about RPGs and kind of, actually specifically what I was talking about earlier, how RPGs are a much bigger deal in Japan than in the US at this point, by sure. And the Epic Center is kind of built around covering these. This section called the Epic Center is built around covering these and trying to promote them and enhance their standing and prestige in the US. You have guides for Chrono Trigger here. And classified section. This here is a section of codes and tips for games. And different cheat codes and the like. Now, here's something for Tetris, for Game Boy. Get ahead of yourself. If you're one of those Tetris whizzes who just breezes through the first 3 stages, here's a code that will let you bypass the boring stuff and get down to the tough stages in a hurry. Hold down and press start to make the option screen appear. Select the A or B game. The game will start normally, but there will be a heart next to the level number indicating you're actually playing 10 levels ahead of the level shown. Now, I've been playing since the mid-90s, the original Tetris, and in fact, because I have... now here's something interesting. If you own a Nintendo Switch and have access to Nintendo Switch Online that lets you play classic games, they added Game Boy games to there, and there's a way you could go to the eShop and download what they call the Game Boy there's an app for Game Boy, and you can play games like the original Tetris, and yeah, and a lot of people don't realize that's still a thing. Now, Vertical Force. Now, now look at this. Now, here's something. This is 95. We've got coverage of Virtual Boy games. Now, Virtual Boy, if you've never heard of this, was a very short-lived console that it was effectively a fake virtual reality system. It went from being, there was this concept for a Nintendo virtual reality system. They had to keep scaling things back to make it affordable, and it ended up going from a proper virtual reality platform to a stereoscopic 3D system that used goggles, like a headset that you put your face into, which contained the actual like processing power and everything. There was no console box; it was all stored in the headset part that he had to look into, like those binoculars you could put a quarter into and look at the Statue of Liberty from afar. And the system was only in red. The system did not last long. Nintendo barely supported it, and the inventor of this, the main mastermind behind this system within Nintendo, was Gunpei Yokoi, who also invented many toys for Nintendo pre-video game era, and also basically spearheaded the Game Boy project itself. The Virtual Boy was such a failure that Gunpei Yokoi was effective. Now, Gunpei Yokoi's plan, from what I understand, was to establish this new virtual reality business for Nintendo and then leave the company, having done so. But the Virtual Boy failed so bad that Gunpei Yokoi was sadly kind of disgraced within Nintendo and left the company in disgrace. It said that he was given kind of a window seat where he really wasn't allowed to do anything or touch anything, and he'd been with the company for decades, which is really sad. And he was working on the Wonder Swan, but was released by Bandai. And but I think it was 97, he ended up being killed in a car crash. And the unfortunate sort of speculation is, if the Virtual Boy was not a failure, or if Nintendo had been more respectful towards him and not blamed, like, totally trashed his reputation within the company because the Virtual Boy failed, he might have stayed with the company longer, and he probably would not have been out on that highway the day that this disaster happened. But it is known that he did plan to leave Nintendo after. And so, I mean, some people simplify it to the point that the failure of this thing basically indirectly caused his death, which is maybe a tad exploitative, but in a certain sense it's not too unreasonable. But it's not quite that simple either. Now here you have Panic Bomber. This is a Bomberman game. I don't know why they didn't focus on the Bomberman aspect, because the Bomberman wasn't a big brand in North America, but I think the Bomberman branding would have helped a bit. But look at, I mean, Game Boy. Look at how the look of these games. I mean, it's a unique and distinct look, but red on black, all close up to your eyes. It's just wasn't a very pleasant way to play these games. So while Game Boy was able to get away with only being black and white, or 4 shades of green with the quality of that screen, yeah, I don't think it didn't work out the way they hoped it would. Yeah, we're just scrolling through here. Civilization. Foreman for Real. That's a boxing game for Game Boy. Mega Man 7. Alright. PGA Invitational Tournament for Game Boy. It's a golf tournament game. Primal Rage. Super Mario World 2 Yoshi's Island. Yeah, we'll be looking back at this issue. Now, here's something interesting. Now check this out. This is Infamous. I didn't realize it was in this issue. This is cool. You gotta ask yourself, I feel lucky? Well, do you? Then enter the player's choice. It's smoking. Grand prize. Be in The Mask 2. Go to the set of The Mask 2. Be an extra in the sequel. Get the game. Take home the mask for your Super NES game from Black Paul. Yeah, so this is a contest, and the grand prize is to be an extra in The Mask 2, a movie which was never filmed. I think it was like 2004, 5, or 6 or so. There was Son of Mask, starring Jamie Kennedy, and it was Bob Hoskins' final film, where he played the Norse god Odin. But yeah, be in The Mask 2. I would love to know whoever won that contest, how they ended up feeling after the movie never ended up getting filmed. In fact, I don't know, as far as I'm aware, how much? Let's count up those sixes. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 sixes, 7, 7, 8. Hey, Juan, yeah, why make a contract for a movie that never got made? Maybe make a contract for a movie that never got made. And as far as I'm aware, I never really heard of any other context for this game getting this movie being announced. This movie was the only this contest was the only exposure I had to this movie being announced. Yeah, so we'll be playing Super Mario RPG soon. If you've been following, I don't know how long you've been lurking in chat, but I wanted to go through and read the Nintendo Power magazine that first teased this game's coming release. Where are we going to see the preview to, what I'm saying, what are we going to see the preview to the cute little monsters, like that one little rat? Yeah. Oh yeah, and here we got more, oh, we got a list of all the bosses from, oh, these are trading cards, I think. Oh yeah, these are perforated trading cards of all the bosses from Yoshi's Island. And this number here, 1-800-255-3700, that number still works to this day as Nintendo's main tech support number. Now, it's time to get into the game itself. Now, on the Super Nintendo, Super NES Classic Edition, which is I'm playing this on Super NES Classic Edition. Yeah, you know, I know what you're talking about. Yeah, Pikachu. In fact, I'm gonna tell you something. Juan, I don't know if you're familiar with the sort of what was going on in Nintendo Power, because this is like late 95, I think that issue was. Actually, we could look up top. I plan on covering one magazine for each stream that I cover. Oh no, actually no, let's jump back to our magazine. Yeah, I plan on looking at one magazine covering this game for at least the first 4 or 5 streams of Super Mario RPG. And one of those magazines is a Nintendo Power, which does contain the first official reference by Nintendo of America to the existence of the release of the Pocket Monsters games in Japan. At that point, they don't even suggest that the games are going to be translated. They're just mentioning like, oh, these games came out in 2 versions. The word Pokemon isn't even used. They're just described as monsters. Yeah, eventually we do get a brief mention, just as a little sidebar, anonymous, just random mention of, oh, there's this monster RPG that's coming out. Now, I first got this, I read something, that's how I first found out about Pokemon. It was in, I believe, an Expert Gamer. It might have even still been EGM2 or EGM Squared at that point. Just a little blurb like, oh, you know, Pokemon, there's this monster RPG that's becoming popular on Game Boy in Japan, and it has 2 versions. You have to trade to get all of them. Yeah, the Pokemon RPG was, yeah, it really started a big anime boom. I mean, like, Samurai Pizza Cats had a bit of a cult following. In fact, it was my mom was channel surfing. She was looking at the old cables networks where they would have that one channel that was just like blue and it just showed listing all the shows. She saw something called Samurai Pizza Cats. And she called me and like, hey son, it says there's a show called Samurai Pizza Cats. I'm gonna turn this on. I have no idea what it is, but it's got to be something crazy, and it was. And I'm glad she did choose to do that. Thank you, Mom. Now let's look at the date for this. What? This was October '95. This came out. Oh, there was a Samurai Pizza Cats Dead or Alive. Oh, Samurai the Cat is okay. I thought he was saying like, yeah, I'm not too familiar with the Dead or Alive 5 DLC, but it was, yeah, it was only for a few minutes. It was a mistake, you know. I just had to go downstairs and get the talk to the person at the desk and come up and get me back in. It was not an issue. It wasn't my fault. It was an honest accident on behalf of someone else, but yeah, so let's, now that, okay, we could close that. Now it's time to get into the game itself. Yeah, so this is our first Super Nintendo. Yeah, the big the cover story for that issue was Super Mario. No, it was Super Mario World 2 Yoshi's Island, and they include the brief mention. Well, it was like a 2-page preview of Super Mario RPG, which they said was about 70% at the time. So I'm playing this on Super Nintendo Classic Edition. First time I've had the system since before I started streaming. I got it in like not too long after it came out. I just walked into Target and saw it and got it. Knew I got use it on stream someday. And I've used the controller on stream before. I've never actually played the Super Nintendo Classic itself. Now take a look at the chronology of the games we've got on here. This is an unmodified original condition system. So you got Super Mario World, F-Zero. Those are the two games that it launched with. I think along with Pilot Wings, which I'm surprised Pilot Wings is not on here, which I never played before, but now my cousin who lived upstairs from me back in when I was a child got Super Nintendo when it came out, and he had Super Mario World and F-Zero, and I didn't really care much about video games at the time. You got Contra 3, Legend of Zelda, Link to the Past. I think it came out in 91 or 92 in North America. You have Star Fox, which will be... in fact, if my original streaming PC hadn't died the time it had, I was only a couple of streams away from covering Star Fox and Donkey Kong Country. Secret of Mana, the Mega Man X, Super Metroid, we'll be playing that. Final Fantasy 3, which was actually Final Fantasy 6. You have Donkey Kong Country, Kirby's Dream Course, Earthbound, and Yoshi's Island 2, Super Mario World 2, Yoshi's Island, and Super Mario RPG Legend of the Seven Stars in 96. The only games later than that are Kirby Superstar and Star Fox 2, which was completed but never actually released. Yeah, Mega Man X. And for those who aren't familiar with Mega Man X, that was kind of a side series. They could have just called this, number this as part of the main Mega Man series. It was effectively the same sort of game to an extent, but they continued doing 8-bit Mega Man games on NES and did this Mega Man X series on the Super Nintendo and other progressive systems. Well, I mean, and when I say that, I mean Mega Man X4 went to the PlayStation and so on. And near the end of the list, we have Super Mario RPG. At the very kind of tail end, yeah, it's more of the same with the new continuity, new moves like that wall kick, I think. Now, I never played any of the 8-bit Mega Man games. I do plan to play 2 eventually on stream. The oldest Mega Man game I played, well, the first Mega Man game I played was Mega Man X4 on PlayStation. Then I played on Super Nintendo in about 2003, I got Mega Man X. So let's get started with Super Mario RPG. Yeah, Nintendo players didn't get any sort of version of X4 until 05, was it? Wasn't it? It was released as part of a collection or something like that on the Wii, right? Or no, it was... No, or... Yeah, I think it was released as part of some kind of collection. I forgot exactly how that happened. No, that 2005, that's pre-Wii, that's GameCube era. Alright, let's just jump into the game. So Super Mario RPG Legend of the Seven Stars, character, copyright, Nintendo and Square. Some of the all the original characters created for this game are the property of Square, to the point where one character made a very small cameo appearance in what was it? In Mario and Luigi Superstar Saga on Game Boy Advance, and for that alone, Nintendo had to clear that with Square and have Square mentioned in the credits. And then, when they remade Mario and Luigi Superstar Saga for the Nintendo 3DS, they actually removed that reference because they didn't feel like licensing it or negotiating with Square, or Square didn't agree to it or whatever. Now, Juan is saying that they were born when this game came out, 1996 July. Wowee. Yeah, it's interesting going back to a game that came out the year you were born, at least for me. So, now, a bit of my experience, I just want to briefly summarize my past history with this game. My friend down the block from me got this game, a Super Nintendo, along with this and a couple other games in like 2000 or 2001. I was aware this game came out when it did, but at the time I did not have a Super Nintendo, like back in 96. Then in 2001, September 2001, I got my Super Nintendo. 2002, I got this game used. And I got up to Booster's Tower, which I think is a quarter to a third of the way through the game. I wasn't that great with RPGs at the time. So, yeah. Oh yeah, this is the last Square game before Nintendo and Square broke up, sort of split ways, because Nintendo wanted to use cartridges, which were proven and reliable technology, whereas PlayStation and Saturn were going with the progressive technology, which was compact discs, which had much larger storage capacity, much smaller manufacturing cost, but were more prone to piracy, for gameplay purposes, you could have much better quality sound, and you could have full motion video and much more voice acting and things like that. So Square wanted to work with those things. Nintendo wasn't offering them, so they moved on to PlayStation for Final Fantasy. And it was a very bitter breakup between Sony and Nintendo, to the point where, for whatever reason, when they working on the sequel to this, which is Paper Mario was shown and titled originally Super Mario RPG 2. They didn't even want to use the name due to its relationship with this Square collaboration. Either that, or it's possible that Squaresoft might have actually partially owned the name, the trademark itself. Yeah, Nintendo, they lost a lot of third-party developers due to the decision, as Juan is saying, to use cartridges, and they ended up having a handful of third-party developers, what they call the Dream Team, of first and second party developers. So I played this game about a third of the way through. I let my friend borrow it in exchange for me borrowing a game from him. When I got Mario RPG back, he had played past that point, and I wanted to start from the beginning, and I just never did. So, and actually, Harbus here on Twitch he's mentioned here and there that he plans to play this, maybe start this in the next couple of months, and I like watching Harbus' streams, and I don't want to get spoiled for the later parts of the game. So I want to go ahead and start this now so that I could play this without having to worry about skipping his streams. So I do like to watch his streams live. Let's put in... Now this naming your file, this is only a name for your file, it's not naming your character. So let's just put in S... Where's the... Okay. T-S-H. There we go. Midway, THQ, Acclaim... Activision, and they also included Rare, which was a second-party Nintendo at that point. So this is the actual introduction of the game. Now it's kind of funny. Now at this point, I had never beaten. When I first played this, saw this intro, I never beat Super Mario World, so I really had no context as to, like, I never really seen Bowser's flying clown car thing outside of that. You know what, this depiction of Bowser's Castle, this is my first time playing this in, like, years and years. Yeah, a lot of Peach's moves from Smash were influenced by this, and honestly, this is the first time within the games that the depiction of what life was like actually live in the Mushroom Kingdom. We've seen Mario in platformer games, seen him in spin-offs like Mario Kart and, you know, the NES Open, whatever. But this is the first time we had a depiction of what Mario's world was like outside the context of these just point A to point B platforming stages filled with enemies and obstacles. And we have the music here, obviously very heavily inspired. Now listen to this. Here we go. Listen to this part. Yeah, this is very clearly inspired by the overture to Andrew Lloyd Webber's Phantom of the Opera. Dun, 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 dun. Yeah, so, thank you, new follower. I like to keep my followers anonymous, so if you'd like to continue lurking and be part of my silent squad, you're welcome to do so. Yeah, yeah, thanks for following me. I'm starting Super Mario RPG. I played this game only partially the way through. I don't know how long you may have been lurking to hear some of the backstory for this. Earlier on, I still have it. Did I close it out? No, I still have it open. I was actually reading, if you didn't see, I like to have some historical context for the games I play, which includes, you know, looking at vintage magazines covering the games at the time. Now, and Juan is saying that there are lots of claim on Nintendo 64, like Turok, Dinosaur Hunter, Warzone. Yeah, no, lots of claim. I know you mean lots of acclaim, now that I see the full context. And there was some Capcom games on N64. Yeah, I was actually, earlier today I was looking at, now you see how these battles work with this turn-based style? Now in later Mario games, actually jumping, being able to jump on them on the overworld would influence whether or not you were able to get in the first strike, or if you would be struck by the enemy. That hasn't been incorporated yet, but they do have this timed hit system, where if you hit the button with exact timing... Now, I'm just doing these battles to sort of demonstrate how the battle system works here. Now, my face buttons on the controller, X, A, B, and Y, and I like how they're positioned to show which button does what. So, your X is for items, A is for your regular attack, B is for your other concepts like defense, and special is for your special moves like jump. Yes, I'm going to be playing this. I plan to play this to completion. Now, this is the first Super Nintendo game I played on stream. This is also the first JRPG I played on stream. I mean, if you very loosely count mainline Pokemon as a JRPG, but the rest of the main Mario games are definitely not what I would consider JRPGs. I mean, I've played Final Fantasy VII, which is as full-blooded of a JRPG as you can get. But I've not played many JRPGs on stream yet. There are 2 Elmo games on N64. Oh, I was not aware of that. Yeah, we're not gaining... It doesn't seem like we're gaining any experience. Yeah, some of the enemy name translations are a little wonky. And Clackaboy's saying that the SNES is their favorite their ultimate, not just favorite, but ultimate favorite console of all time. Yeah, I was a Sega kid at this point. I had, in '95 I got Game Boy, and I wasn't like a Sega partisan where I hated Nintendo or anything like that, but I was Team Sega. I had Game Gear. I didn't have any home systems. Okay, that one I can't actually encounter. Okay, those are just for show, I suppose. Uh-oh, the bridge fell out behind me. I like the, Uh-oh. It's interesting that, Bowser left his front door unlocked. I think he very specifically wanted Mario to come. Now, it's funny, because when I never beat Super Mario Bros. 3, but now I'm familiar with this as being the final battle music from Super Mario Bros. 3, whereas here, this was just some of the music they chose for this fight. I had no context for it as being... This is some of the earliest instances of throwbacks or callbacks to earlier things in the franchise in Mario. Toadstool. Oh, I like this. This is before they started consistently, this is before they started referring to, in Japan, the princess of the Mushroom Kingdom was always known as Peach or Princess Peach. In America, they decided to call her Princess Toadstool. And so here they just translate her name as Toadstool. And in Mario 64, they say, she says a letter at the beginning, Mario, I've baked a cake for you. Please come to the castle. Yours truly, Princess Toadstool, Peach. Establishing Peach as a nickname for her. Hey, Cereal Wars. This was made, Cereal Wars. I'm doing great. This is my first ever Super Nintendo game. I'm playing this on the SNES Classic Edition. We're looking at the magazine coverage for this game, the first preview earlier, and in there, Miyamoto was actually deeply involved with the development of this game, such as it were. And in fact, there's an infamous video of like it was a press conference revolving around the release of this game in Japan, and Miyamoto says, "Oh yes, we're already working hard on Mario RPG 2." And this is when Mario RPG 1, this game had just hit stores in Japan, and the guy from Square Enix next to him is kind of like, "What?" Like you can see his look like, "What? We didn't even know. You're just dropping this on us out of nowhere. We're not working on it. We didn't even know this was a thing till." Yeah, but this was made by collaboration between Square and Nintendo. So here she's still being called a Toadstool. Yes, Cereal Wars saying Mario's best role-playing game. Yeah, and Mario's only. I would say I'm probably gonna end up preferring Mario and Luigi and the original Paper Mario more than this. But this is a very unique depiction of Mario's universe, and this is what I would say about this. Super Mario RPG is an RPG with Mario in it. Paper Mario and Mario and Luigi are Mario games with RPG in them. So, and this is the most true-blooded, traditional JRPG Mario game to have been made. This is Square right off the heels of Secret of Mana, Final Fantasy VI, and so forth. So, Toadstool, don't let Bowser bruise you, Mario. Mario, prepare yourself for the great beyond. Okay, we have our battle. Wow, we restored Mario's HP for the fight here. Do I have an SNES hard copy? Yes, I do. That's, in fact, I first played this game in 2000, 2001. Well, I didn't play it myself. I watched my friend play it because he got a Super Nintendo from a neighbor for mowing their lawn or something in lieu of cash payment. And then in 2001 or 2, I got a copy of this game, and I played through about up to Booster's Tower, which is like a third to 25% of the way through the game, and I could not beat a certain mini-boss in that stage, in that area of the game, and I ended up temporarily trading this with a friend for Mario All-Stars. When we traded back, he had gotten further in the game, and I didn't want to be spoiled, so I wanted to start from the beginning, and I never did. So, fortunately, I'm relatively fresh on this game. And it's funny, because at the time, in 2000 or 2001, the attitude we had was like, wow, we got Super Nintendo, we got this old classic system, when it had been in store shelves just a couple of years before then. It would be like if today I got a PlayStation 4 and be like, look, I got a PlayStation 4, it's this old classic system, we're not even a full generation away from it yet. But the technology was developing so fast that going from Super Nintendo to PlayStation and N64 was such a radical leap that this really did seem like an ancient retro system even just a few years later. Mario, the chain! Aim for the chain! Actually, let's use some of our... Yeah. Wow, that is extremely overpowered. Now, the Super Nintendo, I think, is something he got at a swap meet or something he didn't really care about. This is an older fellow. I don't think he ever played any video games. Bowser, what was that sound? No! It's a chain reaction! But hang on, Clink Link. Yeah! Yeah, sorry, I cannot... Coming, Mario! Yeah, I'll try to do my best Jack Black impersonation. Fight, Mario! No, fight, Mario, fight! That was Peach. This should finish you! Look at Bowser crying as the chandelier falls. Wah, did you think I was just gonna give her to you? You're always in my way. This is it. I'm gonna take you out, Mario. Wah, foiled again. He's just crying. This jump is quite nonsense, but whatever. It's a video game. Oh, Mario! You had me so worried. Let's get out of here. Ah, Mario! I'm going to fall. Hey, Bill Preston. First time chatter. Love how funny this game is. The dialogue and the animations are really a treat. Yeah, yeah, hey there. I think I've seen you around. You stream this game, don't you? And, because I just peeked into the category once and I saw some of the people that were streaming it just to take a look at, you know, what the category was like. And, you know, earlier, yeah, this is such a unique depiction of the Mushroom Kingdom, because they kind of, to a certain extent, they kind of had the same problem that the writers of Sonic Sat AM, the ABC Saturday morning Sonic cartoon had, when they were, okay, how do we make an action cartoon around Sonic the Hedgehog based on what we've had? So they took what very little they have in the source material, being the platforming games of that period of Sonic, and developed this world and this lore that became one of the deeper, darker sort of interpretations of Sonic's universe. And here we have this whole world developed around, okay, we've seen these point A to point B platforming stages in Mario. What is it like to be a regular citizen of the Mushroom Kingdom? What sort of locations, areas they are in this mushroom world, aside from what we just see in these platforming stages? What towns, cities, what's the government, what's the castle like? And earlier today, I don't know if you saw this, but earlier, well, just a little while ago, we were actually looking through this Nintendo Power, which happens to contain the first official Nintendo of America preview of this game's development. And really briefly, you can look back in the VOD later if you want to check it out, but Nintendo's kind of lying. They explicitly lie and imply that this is a game like Legend of Zelda: Link to the Past, and it's not. And I think they're trying to not scare people away from the idea of this being a JRPG, or a role-playing game, you know, an RPG. The term JRPG hadn't quite formulated yet in American gaming parlance, but hey, Mario! Lots of people use something called a door to go in and out of their houses. Anyway, I came to pick up Toadstool, since she's a bit late. And we get Wiggle, you just jump off the coat rack here. Now let's take a look at our stats. I always do like this interface, how simplistic it is. And the look of it. Now these backgrounds, these sort of chalk drawing like backgrounds, they remind me so much of, in Mario Party 1 and 2, the sort of etched characters that you would have to carve out using a jackhammer in certain minigames. Hey there, gamer. And they're saying you came to realize you're more of a fan of Mario products that aren't designed and headed by Miyamoto. Yeah, Miyamoto was involved, but he was not like... Yeah, he wasn't the producer or anything. But I know Miyamoto was very excited about this project to the point where there's video of Miyamoto, like at some press conference for the announcement of this game or something like that. You know, he's next to someone from Square Enix, one of the developers, and he's like, "Oh yes, we're already working on Super Mario RPG 2." And the guy looks at Miyamoto like, "Excuse me? Like, I didn't even know we're working on Mario RPG 2." Now, it ended up not happening with Square because Nintendo and Square parted ways in spectacular fashion. Now, look at his stats here. We've got 20 speed, 20 attack, 0 defense, magical attack 10, magical defense 2. Yeah, they kind of simplify this, make it a little more Mario-like, but here it's very more jump. Stomp foes, just press Y right before you hit it. So we already have the beginnings of what would become the action command system that Mario games were very famous for. Now, it's kind of interesting. Gamers saying that Mario 3 is their exception in terms of Mario games that are actually headed by Miyamoto, that he's a major fan of. But some of the early concepts for Super Mario Bros. 3 actually involved a 3/4 view like this one here. Now, how do you... I thought you'd be able to sleep in the bed, but... Oh. Okay, you have to... That's a little obtuse. You have to turn the light switch off in order to activate the bed. That's interesting. I wonder how many people never realized you could sleep in the bed. Certainly to recover your health here. Now... Hey, I thought the princess was here with you, Mario. So where is she? And here's... Mario, what's with the silent treatment? You're not telling me something. It's Bowser again, isn't it? Oh no, here we go again. Mario, would you please bring her back like you always do? Now there's, later on we get into this thing where Mario does these pantomime type things. Oh yeah, you know, I played a little, of Sonic 3D Blast game, and I played a little Sonic 3D Blast just about an hour or so. I didn't even beat the first level on the Wii Virtual Console back in, not long after it came out on the Wii Virtual Console. Now I do have the actual cartridge for that game now. I will be playing on a stream someday. But... that was a game I immediately regretted that they went with this hide-and-seek format of collecting things. If they just made Sonic 3D Blast as a point A to point B isometric platformer, I think that would have been amazing, and it's kind of a shame they didn't go with that direction. But I will play that game, I will try to enjoy it for what it is instead of being upset over what it isn't. So we have this world map here, Mario's pad. It's interesting is they decided with Mario's pad instead of Mario's house. And it's kind of funny, with Mario 3D, with Mario RPG and with Sonic 3D Blast, both of those games really push the limits of what the Super NES and Genesis are capable of to make a spin-off game for their respective mascot characters, Sonic and Mario, that really pushed the limits of what Sega and Nintendo's 16-bit systems were capable of doing. Now, to Bowser's Keep. Yeah, we have the map with different sections here. And I was talking about earlier about how obvious this music is based on Phantom of the Opera. This track here. Halt! Who goes there? A trespasser. This castle now belongs to us, the Smithy Gang. It's our first step towards taking over this world. And if it weren't for nosy characters like you, we'd practically own this world. So let's see you deal with this. It's interesting, they animate him doing things by just having him opening his mouth repeatedly. And gamers saying, yeah, Sonic 3D Blast music and design is epic. There's a fan hack that removes the flickies. I love that version of the game and consider the definitive version. You may want to play that hack instead. That sounds interesting, but I want to play, for better or worse, whether I beat it or not, or whether I get sick of it or whatever. I would rather play the original, officially released version of the game to cover it at, as it was intended, and then I'll play any variations if those happen to be improvements. So it looks like Bowser's not going to be our main baddie this time around. I won't spoil any details beyond that, but this game was rather famous for some of the choices they made with who joins your party. Now let's go into the Pipe House. Now it's interesting, it's interesting how it's called Pipe House instead of Mario's house or something like that. Oh yeah, and I forgot about Luigi. Apparently does not exist whatsoever in this game. And in the Paper Mario games, at least Luigi does exist, even if he's not a main character. You're back so soon. Did you forget something? No. What happened then? And here we go with the pantomiming. Bridge to Bowser's Keep is out now? Just wonderful. We must inform the Chancellor of Mushroom Kingdom at once. Let's go, Mario. And a gamer saying a lot of hacks are, in their opinion, ego boosters for fan developers, but stuff like remove flickies hack is good for everyone who plays the game, not just the creator. There are some hacks of games that I definitely plan to be playing. I'm not against hacks. I'm not against fan games, but I do if I ever cover a hack or modification of it, with the exception of a translation of a game that was otherwise not localized that is language dependent, I will always play the originally officially released version first, and then play any fan-made variations. And I never covered any hacks or modifications yet. But when the time comes, that's, I think, the approach I'm going to take. Now, you can't see this, but on the Super NES Classic Edition, I have this cool frame up where I can actually see that there's a frame around the actual game screen that makes it look like an old wood grain, like, floor unit console TV with the speakers built in, which is really cool. Oops, excuse me. Oh, that bump on your head reduced your HP level. One of Mushroom Kingdom's famous items would have perked you right up. Received a mushroom. Do you know how to use items? Of course I do. Oh, I see. You're just so well-traveled and experienced, Mario. Oh, now why did I rush back? I had something to tell you. Heck, I remember! I came to warn you that Mushroom Way is swarming with monsters! I just barely made it back in one piece! Mario, please do something! Perhaps I can help! Do you know about timed hits? Yes, I do. Hey, you better watch out! He knows about timed hits! He's gonna punch your lights out! This is the first depiction of Mario jumping. Oh, and Clackaboy saying, suggesting, as with Griffin H, maybe you will create another avatar to be used exclusively for game hack streams. Yeah, there are other he's talking about my PNG tuber avatar of myself as a Griffin that I only use for my writing streams. But for my gameplay streams, I face cam as myself. Well, I mean, even in the writing streams, I'm pretty forward with the fact that, hey, I'm not actually role-playing. I'm as a Griffin. I'm just me using an avatar. So you have something to look at, because I think just looking at my face while I'm writing, just type. It's not going to be that interesting, but he's got more bark than bite, huh? Now why did I rush back? I had something to tell you. That's right. We need to tell the Chancellor about Toadstool. I'll see you over at the Mushroom Kingdom. It's so weird, because, like, she's the leader of the Mushroom Kingdom. Why would you name her Princess Toadstool? A toadstool is, like, as far as I know, maybe it's a regional thing, but maybe, in my experience, toadstool specifically means a poisonous or dangerous mushroom. And just having them call the character Toadstool instead of Princess Toadstool just seems so odd. Gamers saying, oh, you saw the writing streams and you want to try Wordtress now. The game looks really unique and fun. Yeah, the game will be more fun. I'm just gonna have to look up online for a list of valid words for that game. Because there are a lot of very obscure or unusual or maybe archaic words that are valid in that game that make it very difficult to even recognize I have the letters to spell a valid word, and then sometimes I spell words accidentally. Alright, we're on to Mushroom Way. This is one of those sort of travel stages. And there's no way I'm going to be doing that Toad voice. Now here we go, we've got actual, a gamer saying they want to try a sealed copy on eBay. It seems like a fun little collector's item. Yeah, and with the history of that game, with it being music by Ed Bogas, who did music for lots of cartoons for my childhood, and music in cartoons like Race for Your Life, Charlie Brown, that even as a child, a young child, I was like, this music is cool, I like this music. And I'm glad we got to watch Race for Your Life, Charlie Brown on stream before they took it off Amazon Prime Watch Party, as well as, what else? There was Garfield His 9 Lives that we watched on stream that had music by him. Oh yeah, games like that, I mean, it's a shame it's never been released digitally in any way, but that's a game that definitely will have, it probably won't be that hard to find a copy. And, you know, if you want to take a, if you are, I don't know if you cared about, having a, having sealed or having it graded, but, you know, there's controversy about the quality of work of certain grading companies and some of their behind-the-scenes ethics, but in terms of just having a sealed copy of a game, you could at least check out that, you can at least check out that the game works. You know, that the game probably actually is sealed. Yeah, now we're actually earning experience points for... down to 17 health. Yeah, those battles in the castle did not add... we weren't leveling up off of those at all. I know they're timed attack hits. I don't know if they're timed defense hits in this game. You know, you got random bonuses for HP max and stuff like that. Yeah, and yeah, so not only is there music by Ed Bogas, but then one of the main creators went on to become the leader of a country, so which is kind of wild. Yeah, this is like Link to the Past, right? This is totally just like Link to the Past. Either that or maybe Nintendo Power was lying because they're afraid of scaring people away. Sky Troopa. That's an interesting translation. This is clearly a Paracoopa, but Sky Trooper, sure. Now this is... Now going into this with Paper Mario logic where a punch attack would not be... Well, first off, Mario doesn't have a punch in the Paper Mario games, but the fact that the attack reaches even those high up enemies is interesting. Oh, come on. Come on, take him out. Yeah, there we go. You're cutting it close with our, Okay, we only have 1 coin left. Let's go, heal up. Now, gamers saying they always wondered why... I love the feeling and sounds and graphics of Mario Party. You later discovered the composer of Mario RPG was... The composer of Mario... Oh, really? That's interesting. I did not know that. They're a remix of Mario... And Mario Party, they're remixes of Mario RPG tunes. You know, it's been so long since I've played Mario RPG that... Because I've been recently playing Mario Party 1 and 2. Oh yeah, that's right. I have to turn the light off to take a nap. You don't just interact with the bed. You have to interact with the light switch. And that mushroom, it's not obvious that that's supposed to be a light, so... Mario RPG, they're remixes of Mario RPG tunes. You really like the Mario RPG... The Mario spin-off games better than the main games. I mean, I've certainly played more of the spin-off game. I've played more Mario Party 2, hours of Mario Party 2 on stream. I probably played more hours of Mario Party 1 more than I've played any actual Mario platformer. Gamers saying they love my Mario Party streams. You never played Mario Party 2 all the way through? You know, I have to go back to Mario Party. I got pretty far into it, and then I really stopped. Because I never unlocked when I was renting Mario Party back in, you know, '99. I never actually beat the game in the sense that I unlocked those 2 hidden boards. I got the conditions down for getting one of those. Let's check out. Mario's status. Next level at experience level 14. So the next battle we should actually level up. HP max, nice. And boom, boom. Yeah, this is the first depiction of Mario punching, and that's something that carried over into... Alright, we got Mario reaches level 2. HP went from 20 to 25. Attack went from 20 to 23. Defense 0 to 2. Magic attack 10 to 12. And magic defense 2 to 4. Okay, we gotta choose a bonus. Now this is also something that came back in Paper Mario, except how they dealt with it in Paper Mario. Man, the flickering on the rotation for those other icons is kind of hurting my eyes a little tiny bit, actually. So, do you want special? I guess it's for magic. HP, we get more hit points. Power, we get more strength to No, do we want more HP so we can survive more attacks? We want more power to hopefully defeat enemies quicker. Let's go with power for now. Yeah, so the idea of only with how it worked in Paper Mario is that the stat that you choose is the only stat that gets enhanced. Now let's see. Let's check our status. 25. Okay, so it actually. Now I may do some grinding off stream because I wouldn't mind being a little over leveled. And she's saying she also composed music for Street Fighter 2 soundtrack. If you listen to all three, you can hear the similarities. Yeah, back in the day, my main exposure to Street Fighter is my dad had a barbershop. Now, there's this thing in black neighborhoods. There's this thing they would often do where they have a building with there's two doors, and it's like split like halfway down the center, like Two-Face style, like half one, half the other. One half would be a barbershop that mainly did men, and then the other half would be like a beauty salon that mainly did women. And on the barbershop side, there was like there was Street Fighter. Yeah, there's Street Fighter 2, Hang On, and no, I think earlier on they had Outrun, and then they replaced Outrun with Hang On. They are defensive timed hits, okay. Yeah, so I remember hearing the music and watching the older kids who were into fighting games play Street Fighter 2. That was my main exposure to it back in the day. The main fighting game I was familiar with at the time and knew was Mortal Kombat, which me and my brother would play on Game Gear, which is the home system we had. There are timed defense hits too, okay. Thanks for letting me know that. Little things like that, you know, I don't mind hearing about. Yeah, I'm going to fight every Goomba on the way there, but I'm not going to sit here and grind for too long. I will grind off stream. I wouldn't mind being a little over-leveled, because I want to get through the game relatively quickly in terms of my progress on screen. Oh, and Luigi's in the game. He's at spoiler. Okay, we'll run into him on the way there then. It's certainly a spot where I never got far enough in, but then again, it's weird even being able to utter this, but it's been more than 20 years since I've last played the game, so I might have encountered him and forgot all about it. Yeah, I haven't gotten any comments on the balancing of the game audio compared to my microphone, so I'm gonna guess it's pretty good. I did some testing to balance the audio for the I will always, except for in like, I didn't do it with Tears of the Kingdom Zelda because I knew I could expect it from the same it's on the same system from the same like development team, so I could figure the audio balancing would be the same as Breath of the Wild. So I did not do any preliminary testing for that. But so I just went ahead and used my settings from Breath of the Wild that worked perfectly for Tears of the Kingdom. But I did boot this game up and just have it sit on the title screen and balance the audio, do some audio tests where I'm saying peas and carrots, carrots and peas into the microphone a bit and against the game music just to make sure you can hear the music and my voice well. Yeah, and frankly, I don't have like the fastest paced chat, and that's not a complaint. That's just, you know, this is the sort of stream I have. So if you're a bigger streamer and you've got, you know, 20, 30, 50 plus people in chat, if your game and your microphone aren't balanced well, you have a lot of active chatters who could tell you in real time, okay, that's better, that's worse, turn this down, turn that down. When you have quite a lot of, you know, I'm very grateful for my silent squad who lurks in my streams, and a little slower paced chat, I want to have those balances ready at the beginning. And now the problem I kind of have, there are actually 2 endings to this stage. That's interesting. Well, I guess we'll see which one I, oh, okay. Yeah, I guess we'll see which one I do unlock. Yeah, 1 experience point for that. Wow. Seemed like a lot of effort for... Oh, wow. There's a Goomba right next to me. I forgot about him. Now... Yeah, these get taken off with 1 hit. Yeah, I'm just using this opportunity to get down the timing for the action command for Mario's Punch. Yeah, when I do grinding off stream, I won't be progressing the story at all. And Gamer, thank you for checking out my my writing streams. This next Wednesday will be a gaming stream. I'm going to be playing more Mario RPG, but the Wednesday after next, I will be doing another writing stream. And I don't know, the first one went better than I expected. My first writing stream last month. Now, the last one, I could see the ways in which I want to change how I do things in the future, how I could adapt and improve things a little bit. And I think that, yeah, I think the next stream, I mean, my audience was happy. The stream went well, but I could see the ways in which, okay, if I want to streamline this, if I want to get to cover the amount of material I want to cover in each stream, if I want the streams to be more entertaining in a way that I enjoy, I know what I need to do next time. So, alright. Boom, boom. And that's oh wow, I think I got the action command for the defense there, because I never took 0 from a Goomba before. Experience points too. Whew, my life was flashing right before my eyes for a second. Here's a little something in return. Receives a honey syrup. Wow, I forgot that honey syrup, that restores MP if it's like it was in, if this is like how it was in Paper Mario, which I'm far more familiar with in this. Oh wow, we got it says I received a mushroom, not I received a whole ton of mushrooms. Honey syrup, 10 flower points, so we got some, I don't know. I don't know if I'm being a little paranoid. I just wouldn't mind going back, saving, and restoring my health. Yeah, but there we go. Don't save Toad. Ah, too late. Sorry. I already saved him. Yeah, there's a 20-30 second delay on this. So what would have happened if I didn't save Toad? Alright, we'll take this. These guys actually provide some sort of... Hey, Bill Preston is saying that he comes up to you after the fight and comments on how you ditched him earlier on. That's funny. There we go. I'm trying to get the... Yeah, I'm trying to get the timing down for the, Yeah, if there are any, particularly, interesting, character interactions that are missable, you can mention them to me. I may not necessarily do them, but, there we go. Boom. Like, the sound effects for the battle system are really great. The way it... I'm not a big JRPG guy, actually. But it's kind of funny, because one of the JRPGs I played the most aside from Final Fantasy VII is Final Fantasy Legend on the original, you know, black and white Game Boy, which is one of the deepest, most gritty, cutthroat JRPGs you can play. And I love it. Now, I've had it on Nintendo Switch for years in the collection of Saga, and I will be playing it eventually on stream. I made a layout for it years before I got an Analog Pocket. It could have been the first Game Boy game I covered on stream. I just didn't get around to it. There were just other games I wanted to play more. And now I could actually play my own childhood copy of the game. Gamer suggests you may want to do a SNES Classic state before following Toad into the Mushroom Castle. I remember frog coins being a thing. I remember that frog coins exist. I don't remember exactly what they are, but I do remember them existing. Oh, and Bill Preston saying it may have been the first Final Fantasy title game you ever played. That's interesting. Now, the idea, I never beat the game. I got into the post-apocalyptic world, and I got locked into the room with that robot where you get, I think, the plutonium, and I saved in that. You can save at any point in that game. I saved in that room that you cannot exit until you beat the boss, and I was very new to RPGs, and I was not equipped to leave the room, and so I basically soft locked myself. Oh, there we go. Yeah, and it's there's a very arcane and system where you have your human and Esper characters, who are called mutants in the translation. You could call them no, they call them mutants in the translation because the idea of an Esper, an ESP user, was not really as big in American popular consciousness as it was in Japan, the idea of an Esper. So they decided to call them mutants instead, which got the idea across, even if it sort of didn't give a... But they're also there's a class called Monster, and they're all kinds of different creatures within the monster category. They could transform into one another by eating the meat of defeated monster enemies. And the transformation system is it's not explained at all, and it wasn't until hobbyists decades later actually went into the game's programming and sort of decompiled it and went through it that they were able to actually understand how the transformation system worked. Gamer saying, I gotta jump on the Toad's head as he walks forward, then jump above the wall at the right time to get to the hidden block. Alright, when we get into the Mushroom Town, we'll check it out. Now this... Okay. Okay, not quite. It's weird. I'm not... Yeah, I guess... Pressing B is a little confusing because it's... Plus, I'm trying to learn the logic to how this game's... Let's check that item out. Let's see what we got. No, that's... Can I equip that? Is that an equipable item? No, I don't have any equipment for him yet. Okay. Special item, no special items. So what was that? Was that just a... What was that? Oh, the flowers and chests automatically add to your FP. Okay, thank you, gamer. Okay, I get to fight a Goomba. Sure, I'll take the couple of EXP I'll get from this. HP max. Alright. So, I have the opportunity to save Toad. It's up to chat. Should I save this little guy or not? While I collect this I can skip Toad here if I want. Think it's funnier to leave him? Bill Preston says, okay, we'll leave him. We'll leave him. Yeah, I have a number of magazines for upcoming streams. Now, I was really paying much more attention to Sega stuff at this time because I didn't have any Sega home consoles. I was a Sega kid in the sense that I had Game Gear. And I did have... So I was paying a little more attention to Nintendo because I did have Game Boy. Okay. Do I even have the opportunity to... Yeah, let's fight this... Whatever this is. Spiky. Okay, so these are... Is Spiky intended to be spiny? That's interesting. Now, I'm gonna attack without the action command to see if it defeats him with one hit. Yeah, I need to nail that action command to beat him with one attack. Okay. Yes, that does make a big difference. Yeah, I'm getting so many HP max. jumped out at me. And a gamer's saying, believe once I come back to the streams, you can't come back here to EXP grind because the game makes enemies give 0 EXP if you remember correct. Oh. So once you complete a... So is it the case that once you complete a, I guess, a travel stage, we can call it, you can no longer grind on those enemies? Is that the case? It only applies to this one stage. Okay, in that case, I'm not going to worry too much. You know what? I wonder if that was something they were considering for the whole game, and they decided against it, but they forgot to, like, remove that mechanic from this first area. Hey, you got level 3. 25-30, attack 24-27, defense 3-5, magic attack 12-14. Okay. Mario learns Fire Orb. And this is so interesting. After being used to Paper Mario, which I would say is Mario with RPG in it, as opposed to Mario RPG, which is RPG with Mario in it, I actually see these very JRPG type terminology. You ever grind in this level? You only need to grind until you wanted to defeat. Spoiler? Well, I'll tell you, it was a bunt inside, the mini-boss bunt inside Booster's Tower that ruined, that sabotaged my first playthrough. But yeah, for having not much of a grasp of how to properly play a JRPG, it's interesting that I did as well as I did and enjoyed Final Fantasy Legend for Game Boy so much. Okay, so attack went to 27-29, and defense went from 5 to 6. So power includes attack and defense, okay. For level ups, one of the bonuses will almost always be slightly better than the others. That's interesting. And of course I bungle that. Now, when Mario levels up, I do like that it restores his HP up to his new HP limit. It doesn't just, like, say, like, hey, if you had 18 out of 20 and you went to 25, you're still at 18. No, it actually does restore his HP, which is cool. Okay, 2, 4 coins. Now, relatively speaking, I know the Paper Mario games were really started this trend of, compared to a lot of JRPGs, where numbers get into like the hundreds and thousands, Paper Mario really did keep, if anything, got above a double-digit number in terms of its attack damage dealt or received. It was kind of a big deal. They really kind of scaled down the arbitrarily large numbers here. Here they haven't quite scaled them down. We have like 30 HP, which is, I think in a lot of other, like in Paper Mario game, having 30 HP for Mario would be like something late in the game, relatively late in the game, I think. But here it seems like they sort of simplified the numbers in terms of how much EXP you're getting between levels. Now, yeah, the sound effects really, without giving an actual proper cue, it does inform how to nail those, get those action commands in, and it gives a satisfying, that pop sound when it's like the enemies are balloons that you're popping. And gamers saying that they think that all characters only get 250 max HP via leveling and bonuses on each level. Sometimes instead of getting a +1 MG, you'll get a +2 or 3. You can preview what... Okay, because I'm used to the Paper Mario system where you get... Well, Paper Mario, there is the... Paper Mario, your level up effectively is a bonus, and you're just choosing what you get your bonus to be. Here, you get level up for all your stats, then you choose your bonus on top of that. Yeah, I'll keep a lookout for... Yeah, it's like basically which stat has like a sale going on, pretty much. I'll take a look at that. Yeah, because I saw... What little I saw of your Mario RPG gameplay, I could tell you're playing some kind of challenge run where you're playing at a really high level. So, like, if I was playing this back in 96, like... This is, it sounds like like the next best thing to having, like, you know, having mom's permission to have a Nintendo counselor, like, on speakerphone with you the whole time. Yeah, the closest thing I've ever done to a challenge run, well, my first modern video game, well, my first proper, not counting hand-me-down units I got like Mattel Football 2, or even the Texas Instruments Little Professor. Oh! Excuse me, Bill. Somehow I got you confused with someone else that was streaming in the Super Mario RPG category. But the thing is, if you had went with that and kept being like, oh yeah, I have the, I'm second place, world record for, this certain category, you could have led me on with that, I would have totally bought it. Oh yeah, I know, like, a lot of the enemies I think the Goombas kind of just go along set paths as well. Miss. And, it's funny, I wasn't going out of my way to try to grind here. Oh yeah, I see Lakitu throwing them down. Oh, that one just ran out of the bush. Alright, we'll beat these two, and then move on to the next room. The next screen, because we are in an outdoor area. Oh yeah, this was back when Hammer Brothers were actually depicted as being huge in comparison to Mario. Hey, are you looking at me? My hammer and I don't like you. Okay, I think... Gamer's saying, too bad the Smithy Gang never came back. Wonder if this is the inspiration for Team Rocket / the Rocket Gang. I feel like the Brutals and Mario Odyssey are the closest things that they would if they would work for Smithy. If I saved Toad, the Hammer Brother would be holding Toad captive. Okay, so this little guy just can't stay out of trouble, huh? I think, Pokemon? This game came out in '96 and so did Pokemon. So I would say that it's kind of just coincidental. Now, I understand there's a certain sort of Japanese trope of sort of evil gangs to some extent or another. I don't know to what extent this would play into this. I know there is a reference to Super Sentai in one of a boss fight in this game that some characters that I never actually got to, which is kind of, I mean, the creators of the game are just kind of lucky that Super Sentai took off in North America in the form of the Power Rangers, or else that reference would have been totally lost on US gamers. Yeah, let's Now you got my hammer angry. You shouldn't have done that. Let's do it. I gotta turn this up a little bit. There's a gamer saying there's reference to Sailor Moon in this game, only in the JP version. Now, was this reference a character they actually removed, or just a line they wrote differently? Now, I forgot the mini boss theme for this game. Let's start with some heavy firepower. Hit Y repeat. I forgot the action commands applied to the magic attacks. Oh, it looks like I successfully, Oh, wow. My character says, I will punish you or something. Now, I haven't watched the dub of Sailor Moon since the 90s, so I really can't, I barely remember. Oh, the GG on the defense time? Well, thank you. We know we could take these guys out very quickly by, It looks like he's faster than me. Oh, wait. Hammer time? Uh-oh. And that leveling up I did is what made the battling easy? I don't know, it's like, I wasn't really going too far out of my way to grind for this. But, yeah, I can imagine if I was a younger kid, a little more impatient. Oh yeah, I forgot Mario gets a hammer in this. It's a battered old hammer. Actually, it's a sturdy hammer bearing the Hammer Brothers insignia. You never know, it might come in handy. Picked up a hammer. Let's equip this bad boy. His attack. His attack is 29. It goes to 39. Pounds enemies. Wowee. Yeah, Toad would be explaining this instead of Mario thinking if you saved the Toad. Alright, let's try this new weapon out. Oh, it has different timing on it. Yeah, and Paper Mario is a little more practical about it, where you couldn't attack a flying enemy with a hammer in Paper Mario. Oh yeah, Koopas are one-hit KOs now. Let's, Alright, let's... Oh, it's 6:49. I've been streaming since, 5. Well, I've been streaming since 4:55. But, Gamer saying, speaking of MC Hammer, the Magic Hammer in Zelda SNES was called the MC Hammer in Zelda for Super Famicom, obviously. I did not know that. Yeah, it's quite gratuitous. You know what's kind of wild? They called... Okay, I'm gonna have to call... Okay. The hammer in Zelda for Super Nintendo was called the MC Hammer on the Super Famicom version. So a reference to MC Hammer. There's a story... You found out that on Legends of Localization. Oh, that's a fantastic website. I haven't been keeping up with it. But there's the story of a translator. I don't know if they were working for NOA or for Game Freak or for what. But when they're translating Pokemon, the original Pokemon games, or it might have even been Pokemon Yellow, but when you trade in-game trades with computer characters in that game, are the Pokemon you receive will have nicknames that you and. There was a trade, an in-game trade in one of the first in Pokemon Red, Blue, or Yellow, where the person who was writing the localization decided the Pokemon you got was a Spearow, so he decided, hey, we'll give the Spearow the nickname Brittany. So it's like like it's a Spearow named Brittany, just a reference to Britney Spears. And he was brought into the office and, like, severely scolded and told if he ever did anything like that, he would be fired immediately. Meanwhile, in Japan, they literally gave, like, they named the hammer in Zelda the MC Hammer. And what gets me is that we went from that, we're just having a Spearow nicknamed Brittany in Pokemon, got you scolded and threatened to be fired immediately if you ever did anything like that again. And I would be like, okay, just so we're clear, is the guideline that we cannot reference celebrities, or is that we just can't have plays on words or that weren't in the original or anything like that? And then with the Legend of Zelda, what was it called? The Legend of Zelda Triforce Heroes on Nintendo 3DS, and there was a line about some man that Link is talking to saying, like, oh, there were like dungeon ruins in the east or something like that. I'm just making up the line. And in the American English translation, he says, like, much dungeon, such ruin, as a reference to the Doge meme. And it's like, to me, okay, if there was a reference to something equivalent to some Japanese comedian or some a sketch in a Japanese comedy show that would have been relevant to Japanese players, and they translated that line that way into English, I'm like, okay, fine. But to throw in an online meme reference, to force it into a line that was not even intended to be funny, in the American English one, and the European English one didn't have that. What gets me the most is that I'm not trying to stereotype based by age or anything, but I'm sure that I saw a bunch of people defending that translation choice, saying, like, oh, like, why are you mad? It's just a line. It's a good joke. And I was like and I'm sure there are people who may be younger who maybe had more exposure at a younger age to lines like that to like humor like that, so it didn't seem as weird to them. But if NES games like Zelda or Zelda 2 were translated with that level of like a very time-sensitive pop culture references, those translations would not stand up today. And yeah, gamers speculating that the Japanese trademark and copyright laws were looser in the 90s, 2000 compared. And it's kind of funny because in a lot of ways, in terms of like, there are a lot of ways in which copyright laws are extremely strict in Japan compared to here. But I think for parody purposes or referencing purposes, I think they might have a little more leeway. But in terms of copyright enforcement, like there was a bar in Japan a few years ago that had they had like some TVs with Super Nintendos plugged into them, and they got raided by or Super Famicoms plugged into them. They got raided by the police. They didn't have, Nintendo didn't send them a cease and desist. They got raided by police like they were selling drugs or something to make them stop doing this. And like people got arrested over it. Since the mid to late 80s, video game rental was flat out banned in Japan as a form of copyright infringement. Whereas in America, Nintendo also tried to sue to prevent game rentals. Fortunately, they lost that case. And I didn't have the richest family. I was extremely fortunate to own both N64 and PlayStation. But my parents, looking back, now that I have the perspective of an adult, my parents made some sacrifices for themselves to make sure that we could have those things. And there's no way that owning PlayStation or N64 would have been a viable option if game rentals were not available to us. And the favorite games that we rented, if we rented a game more than 3 times, odds are we were going to get that, me and my brother, for the next coming birthday or for Christmas, which were the 2 main times we received console games, received new video games. And so we did so much more business buying games for Nintendo and PlayStation because game rental was available, buying new from the store games, not just like the older games that were, the property of the store and we're buying them secondhand. We bought, my parents bought new games from Toys R Us or Electronics Boutique because game rentals were available and we were able to know which games we liked and would ask for and rent multiple times. Gamers saying they're glad rentals existed back then. Many people played a lot of games because of that. No, there's so many games that I would have never even tried. Like, I would have never tried Chameleon Twist, Iggy's Wrecking Balls, Puzzle Fighter, on those N64 games, Play Fighter 63 and a third, which wasn't even that good, but it was cool just to try it. Mischief Makers, fantastic N64 game. I would have never, if I had to buy that game to play it, I never would have discovered those games. I would have stuck to the big mainline, like, AAA releases. Not that the term AAA was around at the time, but... Okay. 6. I'm gonna set a timer for myself. So in 4 minutes, I'm gonna do my midstream break. This will be 2 hours in. Okay, we got our next level, actually. XP 30 to 35, attack 29 to 32, defense 6 to 9, magic attack 14 to 16, magic defense 6 to 8. Okay, 32 to 33, 35 to 39, 16, 17. It looks like HP is the big bonus one this time around, so I'll go with the, yeah, we'll grind for a couple more minutes. I'll do my midstream break, and when we come back, we'll move on to Mushroom Town, and I will be sure to make a... Actually, before I do go on my midstream break, I will make sure I go ahead and make that that save point. Yeah, so does the animation when you when you properly pull off, if you properly pull off the action command for the hammer, does he hit twice with his hammer, or is there any visible tell that you got the action command off, or is it just you have to watch the numbers and see if it's bigger than normal? Because it's hard to gauge when, you know, enemies have different defense and different amount of HP, like, okay, did I get it or not, or... He hits twice, Bill Press says, when hit, timed hit, or only once the non-timed hit. Okay. Yeah, so I have to... Yeah, so it looks like the timing's a little more challenging for the hammer. Please throw down some guys for me to fight. Actually, let me just exit stage left and come back in. There we go. Okay. That's very easy to pull off. It's very easy to pull off. Okay. Yeah, that... For not having an on-screen, like, beep, like an on-screen, like, QTE type indicator, that's a very easy. And I could definitely hear the differences, Bill is saying. And so that's 45 as opposed to 30. Okay. Okay, so after this battle, we'll head over to... A gamer saying they thought all RPGs had timed hits after playing this, so you tried to do timed hits in FF3/6 and Chrono Trigger, and you thought it was working. Yeah, I know, the action command systems in this game really are what set this apart from typical RPGs, and I enjoy that tremendously. Okay, so... Okay, we have to... Okay. So we save there? Okay. And hop back. Okay, I am very... I did not realize... I'm glad... I didn't realize going back into the game... Okay. So... Alright, so I'll be back in 10 minutes for another couple hours of Super Mario RPG. And, I mean, I loved Tears of the Kingdom. Yeah, I do take my glasses off when I... Oops. Looks like we'll be doing another battle when we get back. But I love Tears of the Kingdom, but I'm enjoying streaming this much more. That might be a game that I'll play on my own time and take my time doing so. I don't think the experience that viewers would get from watching me play Tears of the Kingdom would be as satisfying as this. So I will be back and hold on. Actually, I forgot. I closed my timer. I did not mean to close the timer. Not 53 minutes, but just 10. Hey, I'm back, everybody. Sorry. Hold on. Okay. Sorry about that. I wanted to step outside for a minute, but the elevator had a few more stops than usual, which delayed my return by a few moments. I'm very sorry about that. But it's time to get back into Super Mario RPG Legend of the Seven Stars. Let's see. Yeah, I'm gonna be calling... normally I would play on till 9 today, but... Hold on. Actually... Yeah, I'm gonna be calling it about 8:30 today because I want to do a little shopping at a store that's not far from here, but they close at a certain time. Let's get back into the game. Hello, everybody. I'm I'm honored that I have more people now than when I left for my break, but let's get back into the game. We're just gonna take these two fools out. Now, I've just grinded a bit. I mastered the action command for... Yeah, well, just about. I've come close to mastering the action command for... Okay. Now let's... Now there's a frog coin we have to use a toad to get to in here. Okay, mushroom... Now, it's funny. I always thought... Even back then... If I had a dorm, it would operate the... Clackaboy saying if I had a dorm, it would operate the elevator for me. Like, if I had a bunch of groceries, Dorm could go over and just press the button there. And if those weren't familiar, door worms are little worm-like creatures that hang out on my character's tail. And they're not unique to him. Most members of his species have them. But, yeah, he'd press the button for me if I was holding on to a bunch of groceries if I were a Lunarian and had a dorm. But the fact that this area is called... This place is called Mushroom Kingdom. It should probably be called Mushroom Town. This one town clearly is not the entirety of the Mushroom Kingdom. Now... Alright, let's... I heard something about a special item, a frog coin. Want to do a save state? Want to do a main save just for the save state? The save spot is in the hotel. Where's the... I'm looking for the hotel here. I know it's got to be marked, I'm just not... Okay, I guess it's the one with the star? Okay, good. And where should I do the save state at? Why don't you crash for a while? It only cost you 3 coins. Yeah, we might as well do it. Yeah, 3 units of any currency. I don't know. I mean, I guess this is an old-timey inn. I would consider this more of a hostel than an inn myself, but an inn, I want my own a room, at least by modern standards. Let's see what you have to say. Oh, shut up. Oh, he's playing a Game Boy! He's playing a Game Boy. Don't talk to me now. Don't talk to me now. Okay. Oh, now look. I lost because of you. Okay. Alright, game looks, Hey, gamer, did you actually post the link? It should allow the link to be posted. If not, you can just whisper it to me. In the meantime, I'm going to talk to some of these NPCs. Okay, here we go. Hold on. Oh, okay. Yeah, that's a pretty cool, that's not just a hidden item. That's like bordering into like actual Easter egg territory. Let me just type in something real quick. Alright. Yeah. Just like that. No. And okay. There we go. Yeah, thank you, gamer, and thanks. Alright. Yeah, it's pretty tricky. That's pretty cool. Okay. Mario, let's say you and I get hitched in a few years, okay? Just give me time to grow into my mother's wedding dress. Okay. I hope my grandchild turns out to be just like the princess. There are 30 hitting blocks in the game. This is the only one you have one chance to get. Okay. And it's funny because they haven't even formally introduced the concept of frog coins yet, but you only have one chance to get this one. It's so nice to see our young ones having a good time. The very traditional RPG dialogue here. A lot of creepy looking thugs have been sneaking into town. Not on my watch. Hey, did you just see a crocodile around here? He talks like a mobster wannabe. I'm sure he's up to no good. Hey, wait a sec. My wallet's gone. I remember that character. Rat. Say, hey Mario, guess what? Rainy isn't just a friend anymore. We're getting married. Do you happen to know of a good wedding chapel? A lot of this stuff in this first town foreshadows a lot of stuff that'll happen during the course of the game. Hey Mario, look what you're standing in. You have to jump to advance the dialogue. Ha, gotcha. Oh, let's talk to this kid. Hey okay, you have to just do that every time you talk to them. I haven't seen Princess Toadstool lately. What? Bowser got her again. All I do is cook and clean. Okay. Hey Mario, my brother's waiting for you upstairs. Why did he know we were coming? No. Frump chomp. Okay. Woo! You're jumping on the bed. You're gonna get hurt, kid. Do I have to jump on the bed to talk to you? 1, 2, 3. If I practice enough, I'll jump as high as you. Think if I practice enough, I'll jump as high as you, Mario? Sure. Yeah, right, kid? Yeah, let's be nice. Yeah, sure. Yeah! Oh boy, look at him. He's going bananas. Let's get out of here before he gets hurt and we get blamed. Okay. Hurry, Mario, hurry. The Chancellor awaits. Mario, hurry, the Chancellor awaits. Okay, so we're going to... Okay, so we have to do that. I like how you have to hold it for just a split second to actually force... Okay. The theme for this town, a gamer is saying, is remixed an ending theme and how to play theme in Mario Party 1. Is Yoshi in this game? Oh, there are a whole village of Yoshis. In fact, this is one of the later games in which Yoshis are depicted as people rather than animals, such as it were. Yeah, there's a village of Yoshis we'll be meeting later on. Mario, sorry I was late. I was caught up in some business. Shall we head off to the Chancellor's place now? Okay. No. Yeah, I see why you have to practice that. Yeah, it's gonna take a few tries. Okay. At least I got the... Well, heck, I got it. It was easier the first time. Each time I do that, I have to... Alright. Okay, we got it. Gotcha. Now, check it out. We've got, Frog Coins 1. We did it. Thank you, gamer. Thanks for the tip. Sir, Mario has arrived. Yeah, this would totally be Toad's worth if this were a modern Mario game. Mario, thank goodness you're here. We heard an explosion or something at Bowser's Keep. It was so loud I almost dropped my spores. Okay, Toads reproduce with spores. I'm glad that was not continued on as a matter of fact. I don't want to think about how Toads reproduce, even if it's through budding or spores or whatever. Excuse me, where's the princess? She departed for your house hours ago. I fear the worst. Could Bowser somehow be behind all of this? Pantomime time. And a gamer was saying the JP version of Mario RPG box has Yoshi on the cover, making you think he's playable. Such a troll, the Japanese game developers. Yeah. Spore's alive. You're telling us that Bowser has abducted the princess again? Never mind. It'll be up to you to enter the keep and rescue Princess Toadstool. I love the reaction to all the Toads as he mimics the falling and all that. Egad, the keep is unassailable. What awful power is at work here? Why didn't he mimic the part where... Why didn't he impersonate Smithy to explain that, like, some other villain has come? Mario, her life is in your hands. Please save our dear princess. Mario! He didn't fall. I almost forgot. This may not help you, but why don't you take it along? Got a map. Mario! Boom. Forgive me, but I can't stop worrying about the princess. Go to the cellar and prepare for your journey. The vault guard shall assist you. So long, Mario, and good luck. We know you won't let us down. Where could the princess be? We're all counting on you to find her, Mario. We know you won't let us down. Wait, they're just gonna say the same stuff. Okay, yeah, okay. Where's the vault guard? I guess he's not in this room. All we can do is wait here, don't let us down. Okay. I thought the vault guard was... And, Gamer's saying, speaking of Bowser, if you watch the Japanese version of the first Nintendo Direct that features Doug Bowser, there's actual dialogue for the JP viewers explaining Bowser's name versus Koopa's name since they may not understand the joke. Hey, that's good, because in Japan, Koopa... Bowser is just known as Koopa. So, that's pretty cool. Yeah, the fact that Doug Bowser's coincidentally named Bowser... It is not as obvious of a joke. Okay. Mario, the Chancellor has filled me in. Come, let me show you around. So is this the King's Armory, huh? Or the Royal Armory. Help yourself to the treasures. It's interesting that this is a coin. Small one's worth 1 and large one's worth 10. It was at one of the recent E3s. Well, the most recent I'm sure it was. Are you sure it was a non-E3 Nintendo Direct? The last Nintendo Direct, the last E3 was in 2021. So if it was more recent than that, but this is a coin. Small one's worth 1, large one's worth 10. This one's a 10. It's interesting how they interpreted the traditional question mark blocks as treasure chests here. This is a flower. The more you gather, the more flower points you'll have in battle. Find them. This mushroom will restore your hit points and flower points. Unfortunately, mushrooms you find as items only restore your HP, so be aware. Okay, so if we get a flower... Tell me more about flower points, yeah. Very well. There's one with 3D Bowser interacting with Doug and Miyamoto. And yeah, and Cluckaboy, thanks for asking about Mother's Day. Yeah, I called my mom on Mother's Day, and it was a lovely day. But I didn't get to see her in person, unfortunately. But maybe next year. Very well. FPs are consumed during battle when you use special attacks. For example, a jump attack uses 3 FP. When you jump, your FP will decrease by 3 each time. Run out, and you can't use these attacks. An item called a flower raises your maximum FPs. Okay, so that flower we found in the overworld, that didn't just restore our FP, it actually elevated our FP. Recover FPs with syrups, some mushrooms, and it ends. Yeah, I forgot that honey syrup stuff. I forgot that was an item in the original Mario RPG that got carried over into the Paper Mario games. I mean, JRPGs are like this, but, you know, it's kind of funny thinking of the fact that this game effectively has the same perspective as Final Fantasy VII. I mean, they could have made, if they made the battle system, like, if they gave this isometric view with these SGI graphic 3D model sprites, you have the 3/4 view, if they had given the isometric battle screens an ATB bar, they could have very accurately, they could have basically pulled off Final Fantasy VII in 16-bit without losing much of the fundamental presentation of the PlayStation version. And they did that with they definitely did that with Final Fantasy Tactics on PlayStation. Yeah, and I haven't really looked at the Japanese Nintendo Directs, but I know it's fun to see the differences or have them explained. The vault guard better not be goofing off while I'm cleaning the guest room. Let's see what's across the hall. I hope there's a kitchen. I want to see what a kitchen would look like in this bright style. Gamers saying they love 3-4 view games. Didn't know there were lots of them on Commodore 64 from Rare. Oh yeah, I don't know what I know about Commodore 64, especially Rare's output is from like coverage of some of those games by Stuart Ashen over on YouTube. Toadstool's room. The princess hasn't returned yet. Can you imagine how the Chancellor must feel? I could jump on the princess's bed. But yeah, there are those lighting effects. Yeah, the lighting doesn't actually impact Mario's sprite, which would have been kind of bananas. Yeah, or the ZX Spectrum. Yeah, I think we explored the entirety of the castle already. Wait, is this a room? Okay, we already explored both that way. And come back here! I have the vaguest sense of what's going on, so... Oh yeah, this guy. Oh, and that guy. There's a hidden item in Toadstool's room. Probably pretty interesting. Probably want to skip it for now. What the item is changes depending on if you play the JP or the USA version. Oh no, that reptile stole my grandpa's coin. I like how he says reptile like as a epithet, but he's objectively a reptile. Stole my grandpa's coin. Boo-hoo, sniffle. I can't cry, big boys don't cry, but it's just not fair. What am I gonna do? Wah. Man. So I don't know if this is a cartoony effect or if this character actually has the ability to control the weather. Yes, gee, you're soaking wet, aren't you? I'm alright now. Sorry, there's something like a good cry. Yeah, the item doesn't give any game advantage, it's just funny dialogue. Yeah, I figured as much. And given it's in Princess Peach's room and that they changed it from the Japanese to the US version, I can imagine the nature of this item. Amphibian, not reptile? Isn't? Hey, Tundex, how you doing? Yeah, we were reading the Nintendo Power that had the first preview of this game. And now we're... I never thought of crocodiles and alligators as amphibians. I want to look that up. I never thought of them as amphibians. I never, like watching like Animal Planet and Discovery and TLC back when they showed like educational films about animals and not help my dog can't stop eating toothpaste, volume 3 or whatever they show these days. I mean, it would make sense. It would. Reptiles are crocodiles. Oh, I don't know. Like, for my why? Okay, I'm looking around. I see homework.study.com says crocodiles are classified as reptiles rather than amphibians for several reasons, including where they are born, how they develop, and their skin. Crocodiles are born on land from eggs like all reptiles, while amphibians' eggs must be laid in the water. Oh. Well, the thing is, Tundex, I'm already... Okay. Well, the thing is, I'm already spoiled about a little bit... Well, I mean, from playing the... I last played this game back in, like, 2002, and I played long enough to get the plot twist about, Mallow's status. So... Yeah, okay. Yeah, no, because I'm thinking, like, well, they do a lot of them do spend a lot of their lives in the water, and I guess it depends. Yeah, because even just as a thought experiment, just our alligators and crocodiles, amphibians was an interesting... Yeah. Why was I crying? There was some reason. Mario, I love Mario's like pratfall, like anime, like asterisk anime fall asterisk. Yeah, I only experienced like the only real plot development I've had for Mallow is the very first game. Azurest, who was watching on their phone, says on their phone it looks like Papa Smurf. No, this character's supposed to be a child of some sort. My grandpa asked me to buy some things for him here. When I walked into town, that croc stopped me. Oh yeah, he took it from me. He stole my coin. I chased him, but he's way too fast. Mario, let's see how you're doing going to take care of Bowser. Oh, he doesn't stand a chance. Oh, that other Toad started talking. Wow, you're the Mario? I know about you. You've got more jump in you than a box of frogs. Tundex is saying this was their first RPG ever. Yeah, I knew of this game coming out, but I had Game Boy, but I was more interested in the developing Sega Saturn, which would have been out around this time. Yeah, actually, it definitely would have been out, because Saturn surprise launched in 95, because Sega in Japan forced Sega America to release the system early. The kid looks like Lady Pac-Man. Yeah, kinda, I could see it, especially if you're looking at a tiny phone screen. Yeah, so my friend got this from a neighbor, his Super Nintendo and a bunch of games for mowing the lawn once. This is in 2000, 2001. And even at the time, we're like, oh, wow, we got this, my friend got this old retro system. Let's look at all these old games. Because the world was, I mean, at the time, today that would be like getting a PlayStation 4 and saying, oh, look, I got a retro system. You know, it's such a... But, you know, technology was changing so rapidly at the time, even just going back just a couple of years earlier to this system seemed like such a big leap back. And so I watched him play a little bit of this up to the forest, the mushroom forest area, or whatever it's called, you know, dun 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 dun, that music area. And then I got the game myself about a year later. In late 2001, I got this console, and then I got the game within a few months later. And I got up to Booster's Tower, which is like 25% to a third of the way through the game, I think. And I let my friend borrow it so I could borrow one of his games. We sort of temporarily traded. And when we traded back, he had gotten past that point. So I wanted to start from scratch. I never did. 20 years later, here we are. No, this is, Clackaboy, any characters you see in this game that are not from other Mario games, those characters are exclusive to, those characters were created by Square and are exclusive to this game. I'm Mallow, a toad from Tadpole Pond. I'm a frog. Can you believe it? I can't jump. Embarrassing, huh? How about it, Mario? Will you help me catch that filthy thief? Yeah, sure thing. The young frog Mallow, who doesn't look at all like a frog, joins Mario in his quest. And even at the time, when you first meet him, you're not sure to what extent that maybe this is just this game's depiction of frogs in this world. But let's see what items we've got. Hey, Mallow, what kept you? I was trying to worry. Wait until you hear this. You see... And Geno had appeared in Mario & Luigi Superstar Saga as a minigame, that's it. Yeah, and I don't know if you were aware of this, Tundex, but they actually took him out of... They took the Geno reference in Superstar Saga out of the remake for Nintendo 3DS. I think there's only a Geno costume that I'm aware of. And it's kind of funny because... I think Nintendo and Square, well now Square Enix, are much more friendly today, well by the time the remake of Superstar Saga came out, than they were, they were like barely just starting to talk to each other again when when Mario & Luigi Superstar Saga came out on Game Boy Advance, because they had just, within about a year or so before that had Final Fantasy Crystal Chronicles, which is the icebreaking between Squaresoft still at the time and Nintendo. So I would have thought that if anything, that game wouldn't have had the Geno references and they would have put him in the remake. And Mallow's a spirit in Smash Brothers. Okay. Wait till you hear this. You see... Wait, I've already heard. Oh, Frog Fuchsia's told me. He seems to know everything. Hold on. Listen! The truth of the matter is, well, the coin was stolen. What? Well, if that's the case, we can't trade. What a shame then, huh? Oh, but there's no need to worry. Mario here will help us out. Is that so? Well, if Mario's on your team, you'll have that coin back in a jiffy. Not so fast. Take this with you. You'll probably need it. Where's Green Mario? He's somewhere in this game. I don't know where. It's been teased that he does exist in this world, but we'll find him at some point. We'll also probably run into Luigi too at some point. Oh yeah, Azurist, if you're not familiar with spirits, it's spirits in Smash Brothers. In the last Smash Brothers game, they came up with a way to represent characters that weren't actually featured in the game. Super Smash Bros. Is a crossover between a lot of different video games, mostly Nintendo, and mostly Fire Emblem, but that's another story. Where like they'll select a character that's kind of similar to another one, and have them only fight in a certain way to sort of represent like a proxy. It's sort of like when you're a kid and you've got like if you've only got certain action figures from a set, and it's like if I'll use let's see. Okay, perfect example here. So I've got Rusty and I won't use D199. I'll use Duke here because they're both from the narrow gauge set in season 4. So I've got Rusty and Duke here, and I had to choose whether I would get Duke or Skarloey. And okay, I don't have Duke, but he's kind of like Skarloey, so I'm gonna pretend he's Skarloey for this particular scenario I'm playing. And yeah, these are all toys from the 90s Ertl Thomas the Tank Engine range, which were great because this was back when the die-cast Thomas trains were actually based on the original locomotives that they were based on. Like Duke here is actually to the proportions of a George England tender tank 2-foot gauge engine. Rusty here is actually to the scale, the rough design of a Ruston industrial diesel narrow gauge locomotive and so forth. Whereas now, like they just make generic cartoony trains that look nothing like the original locomotives. Oh, no, Azurus, I don't know if you've seen these, but yeah, these are actual heavy little pieces of metal. Now, it's funny, because even back then, if they had released those Thomas engines without faces, and some of the Thomas characters didn't have faces, like Bluebell, City of Truro, the engines based on real-life locomotives were depicted without faces on them, and I liked those the most, because I liked Thomas, because I liked real trains, so I'd rather have the... What's down here? Would rather have had the trains, like, have the unfaced... I order you to stand before me. Gee whiz. Okay. Now I order you to jump. Ah. Thank you. Now I order you to jump. In this world, there are things called hidden treasures. Use your awesome jumping ability to look for them. Yeah, non-personified, non-anthropomorphized. Now, it's kind of funny, because... like, City of Truro is treated as an actual character in the Railway Series books and the TV show, but when they show them in, like, they clearly do not have a face. They clearly just look like an actual realistic locomotive with a smoke box door without a face on the front. But the engines, they talk about, oh, the engines talked to City of Truro all night until the stars came out, and who are you? You're bouncing up and down going crazy. Mario, I have something to report, sir. Oh, there's another hidden block in there? I'm gonna go check for it. I saw him. He's somewhere. He just zoomed past me a second ago. Did you see him? Do you look something like this? Why, yes, exactly. Thomas the Dank Engine. Is that the specific name? There's a certain remix of, you know, the da 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 da, where they added some interesting lyrics that I'm not going to repeat regarding the consumption of certain substances. Yeah, I've run across that meme in the past, and it's kind of funny because only people of a certain age are gonna know that meme. Because I forgot my bazooka at home. Sheesh, give me a break here. Come back here. Croco, har har, you mugs will never catch me. A snail could outrun you morons. Later. Yeah, and he's talking about the origins of, Gamer's talking about the origins of... Alright, time to get jumping. Jump here. Now, because of the floor pattern, it's actually very easy for me to test these different spots for hidden blocks. Okay, we gotta jump here, and here, and here, 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 and here. Oh, thank you thank you, that new follow right there. Yeah, I like to keep my follows anonymous, but if you're happy with sitting in my silent squad, I appreciate your participation just by following and watching. I mostly play retro with an emphasis on oh, come on. Okay, Gamer, where's this the chest in this room you're saying? The hidden item? Is that in this room or someplace else? You have to jump on top of the block. Okay. On top of the block, you mean this one? Is it even possible to jump on there? You have to stand on the toad's head when it's in the very right-hand square. Okay, thank you, Bill Preston. You only reach it from jumping off the toad's head. Yep, thank you. Yeah, in terms of story stuff, we're gonna keep it, try to keep it spoiler-free. But in terms of, little gameplay tips and stuff like that, yeah, these tips have, helped a lot. Yeah, I like to keep I like to have the follower alerts along, because it's like, hey, someone you followed, but, you know, I don't want to call out anyone or draw attention towards anyone who wants to remain a lurker. And you have to, it's on the very right-hand square. Okay, well, I guess you'll go there eventually. Okay, why did he move fast for a second there? Oh, you have to reset him? Okay. Yeah, I might have been waiting for quite a while otherwise. There we go. Wow, we got a... Oh, you can make a running jump. Okay. Flower jar raises flower points by 3. Oh, okay. I see. I have the option as to who to use it on. Wait. Oh, okay. I didn't realize... Okay, so the characters have a collective pool of flower points. I see. I see. Alright. Now, can I actually buy any items? Or... I hate to admit it, but I love this job. What are you looking for? Okay, so we have the option to... Recovers 10 honey syrup, 10 flower points. We own 2. A shirt and pants. Armor for Mario. The pants are armor for... The jump shoes are an accessory for Mario. The antidote pin is an accessory for Mario or Mallow. You thought all RPGs had shared MP after playing this. Yeah, this would give... I think Paper Mario, even more so than this one, is a great first RPG to play. But for the time, this is definitely a great first RPG. Shirt. Buy the pants. We'll buy the jump shoes. Okay, let's check out... let's see. Let's actually equip the items. We're gonna see... Here we can look at the characters. So armor, you give him the shirt. His attack goes from... Or his defense goes from 9. And now let's look at his defense. Oh, wait. I don't know, it's not as... Okay, so it was 9 before, now it's at... Oh, at 15 because of the shirt. Okay. And we'll equip the pants on... Okay, no, alright, actually... No, we want to go to... So that does... Okay, so the up arrows do show what will increase. Defense and magic defense. Okay. It protects poison damage, and it increases defense. Defense... Use jump attacks against any foes. And increases. And gamers saying this is the kind of game you don't need to hoard armor unless there's a certain defense for it. And I see you use the UK English form of defense there. Which is perfectly valid, of course, but just something I take note of, because I'm interested in languages. So do you use the, do you spell center with R-E, or do you spell it with just C-E-N-T-E-R? I'm just curious. And there's other words like endeavor. Like the English spelling is kind of like endeavor. And it's funny because, as I understand it, in a lot of those cases, the spellings that have those vowels to them tend to be relatively newer spellings. And the reason it's not so much the case in the US is because we're kind of isolated from those developments in the UK. Yeah, color is... Now, color is one that really bugs me. Because, like, I know I've heard UK English speakers say aluminium instead of aluminum, but they actually spell the word differently. Here we spell it aluminum, and then they spell aluminium. Whereas with color, that U is not doing anything. That U is not informing how to actually say the word properly. And as I understand it, color, C-O-L-O-R, is the older spelling. And that the U was added later on as a sort of a fashion thing to make it a little more French looking in written word form. I haven't heard this music in years. I haven't heard this music in like 20 years. It's so cool hearing this again. Here he is. He probably stashed in that bag. Let's nab him, Mario. Are you trying to tail me? Go home to your mommy before you get hurt, kid. And gamers saying the maps of this game made so much sense you're confused by the Final Fantasy 2/4 maps. Yeah, Final Fantasy 4 was released in America as Final Fantasy 2, so he's just differentiating there. Well, I got my action command the first time around. Yeah, so in about 40 minutes, I'm going to call the stream. Unfortunately, normally I'd play all the way till 9, but I do want to make it to... Oh, cool. This is the first save point we've encountered out in the field. Oh, you got this frog guy. Actually, let's get our first hit in on Frogog. I'm gonna guess he's a tougher enemy than the, Yeah, I was hoping to get him out of play early on, but he did attacks for 2 damage. I think this will take him out. HP max. Now, is that for all? Yeah, I guess that's for all characters, huh? There's a star on the stage. I believe if you do an in-game save before getting it, you can use the star again if you just get to the boss and use that star over and over to level up. Okay, but that expires once we get to the boss. Okay. Okay, so this is a potential and a much easier place to do that kind of trick later in the game. Alright. Well, so would you recommend I attempt that trick now or later on? You have to intentionally lose to the boss, but you keep the EXP. I see. Clacker was saying, I love the animations. The Super NES Final Fantasy games always had static enemies. Yeah, that's true. I forgot about that. But boy, were those sprites detailed. I think that the sprites being relatively they're unmoving static sprites, but boy are they detailed. And okay, we're gonna have to start healing Mallow soon. Experience points 3, coins 8. Yeah. Yeah, we're not deep. Once we get more than a single screen in, I think we're going to stop coming back here to heal up. But Azuras is saying, as a strictly puzzle player, you're enjoying this game more than you thought you would. I know you were around for Paper Mario, which was... You know, by the way, I forgot to mention, I might have mentioned it a few hours ago, but this is the 3-year anniversary of my stream today. Mallow will learn HP Rain, which heals. That'll be convenient. Actually, no, I didn't actually heal. I just, Yeah, and Azure was saying, did you like this more than Paper Mario? I'm interested to know, Azure, so if you remember the stream of that game a couple years ago. Yeah, that was 2021 that I played Paper Mario. Actually, it wasn't too long before I moved. Actually, that was the first RPG I played on stream, and the last game I played before I moved. Yeah, for something I just did to pass the time during the pandemic lockdowns, this turned into quite a wonderful part of my life, and I'm enjoying myself tremendously. And with the help of all of my viewers, both active in chat and in my Silent Squad, I appreciate you all dearly. HP max. And Azurest is saying that Paper Mario's animation style... You know, it's kind of funny because traditionally, especially in this period, turn-based... This is what you would call a turn-based Japanese-style role-playing game. And... typically, games like this aren't known for the... I know what was a big deal with Final Fantasy VII on Sony PlayStation, which was the year after this came out, was that, wow, it's weird just thinking, within 12 months of this game coming out, Final Fantasy VII was on the market. That's such a strange thing to think about. It seems like such a different of... Yeah, yeah, a lot of people, like gamers saying, it was a mixed bag for a lot of people. They're able to, had unique opportunities because of it, even though there was a lot of pain and suffering caused by it. So... yeah, but Final Fantasy VII, one of the things that made that game appealing to Western players was they had these dynamic camera angles, and it was a very cinematic presentation of the battles, whereas traditional RPG battles in a game like this are known for their sort of static presentation. They're not really, let's see what... Okay, no, so I have to... Now, this is funny now. To bring up these different menus, X brings up the item, A brings up attack, B brings up etc., Y brings up special. So you actually have to press that same button again to confirm. So this Thunderbolt attack I'm going to try attacks all enemies. You cleared the field. I don't know, Mallow. It seems kind of extraordinary that you failed to deal with Krako on your own. No, we gotta get used to... I think I nailed that action command there. And, oh. Yeah, so it's... No, but what I was getting at, Azurest, that thought of when you're saying about Paper Mario and how the presentation of this role-playing game is also... captured your attention here. is that it seems like for these Mario RPGs, so because both Paper Mario and this are Mario RPG games, and it seems like the animation style and the way those games are presented has kept you engaged. Now, at some point, we're going to play some older Japanese role-playing games that are older than this, and that have more of a traditional sort of presentation style compared to what we see here. Krako, you couldn't jump to save your life, kid, so I guess this is goodbye. Do you know who you're talking to? I always thought these mechanical... Oh, you can't even... Yeah, I have to use the flower to cross here. Okay. Okay, we made the... Now these, what are these called? K9. Okay, so these are robot dog characters. So I wonder... if... Now I wonder if, I want to see if there's an, like, elemental, like in a Final Fantasy game, if you're fighting a robot and you use an electric attack, like lightning, it'll deal extra damage to them. I want to see if that's the case here. If I use Thunderbolt on these robot dog enemies. Oh no. Will that be particularly effective? And Gamer's saying that a translator named Ted Woosley worked on this game along with FF6. He loves his translations. You know, a lot of translations, especially for role-playing games at this time, were hit and miss. I know one translator that had a big impact at Nintendo was Phil Sandhop, who actually leaded the localization for Earthbound Beginnings. And the interesting thing about Earthbound Beginnings is, well, the game was known as Earthbound, it would have been released as Earthbound, but the game was not released. It was the translated version of Shigesato Itoi's Mother on Famicom. They did a full translation and localization for the game, and then decided it just wasn't a good financial... they would have lost... They decided the game was not likely to be a success. They just mothballed it. The game leaked and was called Earthbound Zero. But finally, the game was officially released in 2014 or 15 for the Wii U, and it's also available on Nintendo Switch now, which is great. Thunderbolt could be a timed hit. There'll be an extra... Wow, I didn't realize that the magic attacks also could be timed... Oh, you know what? I should have known that, because when I did the Fireball, it specifically said press Y repeatedly, so there are timed hits for the magic attacks that do not have explicitly stated action commands for them. Okay. How? What is he, like, intimidated or something? Or his attack is down? Is that what that does? Some have it, some don't. Fire, Jump, and Thunderbolt have it. Fire Orb can't. That's interesting. The gamer saying you're never a fan of Earthbound Mother, but the passion of the fanbase is charming in the pre-2010 era. Mal is in a fear state. Okay. You know, it's funny. I played Earthbound, the Earthbound Zero, the leaked version of the game. And the thing is, at the time I played it, there was no reason to believe that Nintendo would ever release that game again in any way, shape, or form. There was even speculation that because of the prototype copy that leaked might have been Nintendo's only copy, and that it was not archived. That was later proven incorrect when Mother 1+2 for Game Boy Advance, a Japan exclusive bundling of the first two games of the series, included the version of that game was based on the localized English release that was unreleased on the NES. So that proved Nintendo still had the source code and files archived for the English version of Earthbound. But yeah, I played that first game. I played a couple hours the first game. It was charming. It's very charming, but very old-fashioned. And then I played through Earthbound on Super Nintendo, which was Mother 2 in Japan. I played through that once when I was in college. It must have been 2007 at the absolute latest. You know, it had to be 2007. I know from other things going on in my life at the time, I had to play that in 2007. And I very rarely replay. Earthbound. and Mother 3. And I played the sequel right after because I did buy the Japanese copy and I played through it with a translation strategy guide that I had to consult separately because it was before the English patch came out. Mallow reaches level 3. You think a lot of the rumors and stuff were started by Japanese developers to keep interest in the games? Yeah, I don't know, like, I could say, like, the Earthbound fandom can be a little insufferable at times, but it was nice being in that scene, and I remember being fascinated by what little we knew of Earthbound 64, the N64 version of Mother 3. And Satoshi was reviewed by the retro... Do you mean... okay, so Satoshi Tajiri. Satoshi was reviewed by the Retro Game Master guy. He put it said that he put fake rumors in his Game Freak magazine. Well, that's kind of funny because there were so many fake rumors about the original Pokemon. No, yeah, I know. Game Freak was originally a magazine, and then they released Quinty, which was released on Famicom, which was released on the NES as Mendel Palace, that game is available on Nintendo Switch through the Namco archives. Mallow learns HP Rain. Now let's check out these. 24 to 27. You have 24, 28, 17, 18. It looks like HP is going to be the... And of course, Game Freak did go on to famously release the original Pokemon. And then... okay. Okay, I see. The good thing they put that shadow there. That shadow indicates that the coin is supposed to be floating up high, and I'll need to use those platforms to access them. Yeah, by putting those rumors into the magazine, you probably created a lot of mystique around the games he was covering. You know, I played the Retro Game Master game on Nintendo DS, and that's a fantastic game that I had that on the original DS, you know, in its day. And it was a game where you play as two children in Japan in the mid-'80s, and you're in a room where you're playing a game console that you get new games for, and they release magazines that tell you tips and codes to the different in-game, like the games within the game. They're often fictionalized versions of famous real-life games. Like there's one game like Haggleman that's based on Ninja Juju Marakun or something like that, I think it's called, which I never actually played, but I want to someday. Yeah, because of... I'm interested to see how they'll try to simulate... I don't know if they'll ever release... I hope I'm wrong. I hope I am wrong. But I really did stock up on... During the last days of the Wii U Virtual Console, I stocked up on all the DS games I thought I might be someday interested in, because it's very possible that Nintendo DS will be... might not be ever made available again. The dual screen nature of the game... The fact of reliance on the touchscreen, it may be possible that Wii U is the last time those games are ever offered legitimately in digital form. And it's kind of funny because from what I understand, the first retro game challenge game for DS failed in the US largely because of piracy, from what I've heard. As I did hear a lot about people who had different devices and different means of playing the game that did not include actually buying a physical copy. And the developer's like, we're not going to translate the second game. The game bombed here. And there are lots of people playing it, but not a lot of people buying it. Okay, I think I successfully... Okay, if I got the action command on that, I think I would have taken that wolf out. Yeah, I mean, and the thing about Nintendo Switch that makes it hard is that even if they did release it, they'd have to come up with some way to simulate the touchscreen via, like, the right analog stick or something like that. Or, I mean, if you just had it on the system, you could play, like, you could put the screens side by side, which will only work for certain games. And then for the games that use the touchscreen, how am I... Nintendo Switch, when it's docked, you have no access to the touchscreen, unlike Wii U, where the gamepad is separate from the console. And so you could... Like, how would... It's hard to think how you'd even work. You know, it's funny, Gamer, and that would give Nintendo some releases during this drought period of the Switch. I never perceived this as a drought period. But then again, like, I don't think of this as a drought period, but I'm not the kind of person, because it's common for a lot of gamers who are into gaming as much as me, to buy 2 or 3 sort of double or triple A retail level releases a month, and I never played games like that. I might buy 4 retail releases a year. So, I never perceived this as a drought period on Nintendo Switch. But if you play and get burned through a couple of large retail games a month, then yeah, I could see how it could be a drought period. But, I mean, Zelda right now I think kind of negates. And frankly, I don't know how many games by third-party developers just put off releasing in the aftermath of the new Zelda game, just because they know we don't want to try to compete with Zelda. We're going to stay out the way. Once everyone's done with Zelda, maybe they'll look for something new. Maybe my game might have a better chance on Nintendo Switch. Oh, yeah. Oh, well, after, this fiscal year. And the thing is, before, in the past, we could say, oh, well, formally in May, and then later on in June, you'd say, like, oh, well, June's coming up, we'll be able to know what E3's coming, we'll have a sense of what games coming out through the rest of the fiscal year. And we don't have that anymore. I know there's a Wholesome Direct coming, and a few things like that, but there's no, like, industry pressure for developers and console manufacturers to announce products in each spring anymore, at all. Azra's saying you're still mourning 3DS because of your library. You're going to try to find one that's new to you. You know, it's funny. Azra's, if I remember correctly, didn't you have the Nintendo DS? Not the 3DS. The 3DS was the successor to the DS. I thought you had Nintendo DS and Switch. I'm not keeping close tabs on your collection or anything. I'm just trying to... And plus, I might have confused that with other people I chatted with. Yeah, like Nintendo 3DS, if Nintendo DS was PlayStation, Nintendo 3DS is PlayStation 2. They're very similar looking, but they're generational differences. They're different platforms, so to speak. But I'll see, because I think, if I remember correctly, you had like a DS Lite that stopped working or it stopped accepting a charge or something like that. I'm gonna see, I'll whisper you after the stream. I'll see if I could find you a deal on a DSi XL or something like that, which is a larger version of the DS Lite that I think you might like. You can play you can play those on 3DS, but I think the Nintendo DSi XL, which is just a larger version of the DS, would be more ideal for you considering your library's all DS games. And plus, there were a lot more... I know you're more of a casual puzzle type of player, and I think the Nintendo DS, because that was the height of Brain Age, of Sudoku and all that, Nintendo DS has, I think, a better selection of casual type games than the 3DS does. You use that howl attack to make him a little... Okay. Okay, we got... Once again, we get the double dip on this turn. Getting used to that, Bill Preston saying they have a special edition 3DS XL, the gold and black Triforce imprinted, released for Link Between Worlds. Definitely your favorite Nintendo product I own. Well, aside... Okay, I have a DS signed by Miyamoto, but I have... It was my launch date 3DS that he signed for me. That was in 2005. But I have a rarer DS. The E3 2006 Nintendo DS that there are only, I think, 20 or 30 of them made. And I have the only known mint condition example. Like, on the website that tracks, like, rare system variations, the photograph of mine is one of the only photographs on there. And the one they have photos of mine, and they had to hunt down the photos that I had, like, on my blog. I didn't actually, like, submit the photos. So they didn't ask my permission, but I don't blame them because there are not many photos of this to use. But mine is the only known mint condition example, and it's the only mint condition example in black. And gamers saying it's Switch being a big games each month for the last 12 months, but I think Metroid Prime 4 and Pikmin 4 will be one per quarter. And it's kind of funny because the reason I got that black DS, this is original model DS, by the way, because after Miyamoto signed my silver DS, I didn't want to use it anymore and take it out with me. So I got a black Nintendo DS from the Nintendo World Store, and those were literally just Japanese stock DSs, but they opened them. They changed the menu over to English, and they put they replaced the Japanese barcode with an American one. They just put an American barcode sticker over it. Okay. Yeah, I think actually I'm gonna have to end the stream in 15 minutes because there's a store that I want to buy some food at that I want to eat for dinner that will close at 9. So I do want to I'm gonna end the stream a little earlier than normal. No, and so I got that black DS. And that was and this was at a time when this is pre-smartphone era. Electronics, personal electronics, aside from a Walkman or an iPod, was still like a pretty new thing. Like I was like in senior year of high school, I had an iPod, and I got made fun of for it. With the cool kids were like, "Why do you have that nerdy gadget? Just get a Walkman like everyone else. Like, what is that, a Game Boy?" It's such a new thing that I was made fun of for having an iPod, and so that kind of tells you the point at which I was going to. That was the point at which I was in high school, and there we go. Yeah, we got another. Mario reaches level 5. HP 33 to 44. Okay, so let's see. 35 to 36, that's 1 point. 44, 3 points, 47, 18. Yeah, we'll go with special this time. Oh, gamers. Oh my goodness. Gamer, you're throwing back here. Saying SDSH, which is me. Super Train Station H would cover the stuff that IGN and GameStop wouldn't cover. The type of stuff like the 3DS. Oh, what? Oh my god. My heart, gamer. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. I never thought of, oh, I want to cover these things these major outlets aren't really covering. I never really thought about that. I just sort of covered what was interesting to me. Now let's see if we need to. Yeah, we'll give Mallow a mushroom. Close. It was a game that used the Wind Waker art style, gamer. It was Wind Waker. Yeah, it's kind of funny trying to figure out, do I want to deal damage to all the enemies, or want to try to take one out a little quicker than the others? Okay. Yeah, let's start whittling away at this guy. Yeah, I guess, yeah, I did. Yeah, Gamer's talking about it. Yeah, I used to cover a lot of street events, especially at the Nintendo World Store back when I lived within reasonable commuting distance of it. It was a neat perspective. Oh, well, I'm glad. I'm glad I was able to provide something unique. Now, about a year ago, closing in on a year ago, I did reactions. I did reaction streams for Nintendo's E3s from 2003, 2 or 3, all the way up to 2014. No, I did from 2003 all the way to 2014. Yeah, that's right. But for I think E3 13 and 14 or 12, 13 and 14, I did not balance my audio good. So I have the VODs, but the audio is not like the actual event is too loud. So I need to do those 3. And yeah, and those are mostly up on YouTube over on my VOD channel. You could check my VOD playlist. And you didn't know their video of 2003, 2004. Like 2004 was the first E3 that was, heck, there are videos going back to 2000. There are videos of Nintendo's E3 to 1995, their first ever E3. And it is not, I mean, even in 2002, 2003 was, well, actually, I would say E3 2004 was the very first time that, yeah, 2004 was the first time that Nintendo's E3 presentation was rather specifically aimed as much for the public as much as it was for the investors and industry people. Because even E3 2003, you could tell, was very much specifically for the industry people. Oh! I didn't realize I could, and gamers saying, oh, before I go, I can't find my playland of Pokemon Violet where I went to the gym and was pushing that wheel. Is it still up? It is. If it's not up on my playlist, you know what? I don't think I ever I'm not sure if I ever uploaded that. If it is on the VOD, if it's not on Twitch, I do have if it's not on Twitch in my VODs, I do have the recording of that. I didn't know anyone was really interested in watching it, frankly, because I did not enjoy that much, so I wasn't really a priority of. It wasn't much of a priority to actually upload the VOD, frankly. But if anyone's interested in it, I will go ahead. But what I was getting at, I will re-record E3 2000, I think, 13, either 12, 13, 14, 15, or just 14 and 15. I do need to re-record my commentary on those. In fact, and what I might do someday, it's something I've been thinking of doing, I might do a scripted sort of recording where I actually script out. You know what? That would be a good writing stream. I wonder, that might be a good writing stream. If I were going to script, if I watched through the event and actually scripted reactions to specific moments and do like a scripted video with voiceovers. Yeah, the idea is brewing in real time. Yeah, you know, I might do videos of, yeah, I could do a marathon, potentially, of would I like to do a marathon of the VODs? Would that be something people would be interested in seeing on Twitch, where I might just be in chat and just let the videos play while I work on other things in the background? Because I know replays of existing streams generally don't get too much attention, and plus they're already uploaded to YouTube. So I could very easily. Okay. 3. Yeah, actually, it's about 8:35 is when when I set my alarm, I think. So I might as well just keep grinding around here. Oh, here we go. Here they respawn. Or I could do voiceover. Oh, you know, yeah, I might appear, like, I might pause the video and do voiceovers here and there, but for the most part, I mean, each E3 presentation is an hour long, so, like, the 2 days I did those E3 presentations, they were both, like, 11-hour streams. They were both all-day affairs, effectively, which is a lot easier to do when I am just watching and commentating on something, rather than actually playing a game like I am here. Yeah, I'm just gonna go ahead and... Yeah, I mean, the thing is, I don't have commentary. For me personally, my commentary, I don't have that ready for any of the Sony and Microsoft's presentations for PlayStation and Xbox. And that is something I would like to do someday. Because, like, for 2003, 2004, and 2005, that was in the PlayStation 2, GameCube, Xbox era. That's when a time in which I owned all three systems. I owned Sony, Microsoft, and Nintendo's console. From going into the HD era, from 2006 onward, I only owned Nintendo systems. The systems were getting much more expensive than previous generations, and plus I was, in college, I was buying more of my own electronics rather than getting them as gifts. And then I still only had it, I did not have an HD TV in my house till late 2018. Actually, I had one in 2016, I didn't get to set it up until 2018. But yeah, like the Cirque du Soleil event was absolutely insane. But E3, I would watch all the presentations. But in terms of the perspective of playing those games and anticipating specific games, I can't speak as much for PlayStation and Xbox once you get into the PS3, Xbox 360 eras. So my commentary is probably not going to be as valuable. But for the Nintendo stuff, I could probably will at least rerun the presentations. For 5 more minutes, I will grind here before I start heading back. And I'll head back, I'll use the... Yeah, I'll go back and use the inn. Maybe buy some items. And yeah, I could probably already be at the next area. I'm grinding a lot early on. I might even do a little grinding off stream, just to be a little bit over leveled, so I don't have to grind as much later. Yeah, thank you, gamer. It's kind of funny because by so many typical methods of judging success, to be streaming for 3 years, there was a while earlier where the indicator said I had 10 or 11 people watching. That's pretty much twice what I could normally expect to have viewing me. And a lot of people, and meanwhile I've seen people be like, I've been streaming for a year, I only have 50 average viewers, what am I doing wrong? And I'm like, so by a lot of traditional metrics of success, my shows over the last 3 years has been a failure, but I'm successful in that A, I didn't quit, and B, I enjoy myself. I enjoy streaming at this. I would love to have more viewers. I enjoy have the viewers I have. I enjoy the stream that I have. I enjoy if someday I got a bunch more viewers and I was able to actually have some notable income off this. That'd be nice, but it's not my goal. And frankly, I enjoy being able to say, "Hey, I'm gonna stream Super Mario RPG," and not have half my chat rebel against me and start unsubscribing. Because I've seen streamers who play, a lot of retro variety and stuff like that, and they're like, okay, I'm gonna play Pokemon Black for Nintendo DS. They almost lost their stream. They almost lost their channel. It almost killed their channel. And the people that did not leave were actively just complaining and whining about it, and it was really insufferable. And they're like, hey, I can't do this again. I'm gonna lose my channel if I do this again. So, so thanks for the support, everybody. Yeah, so I enjoy being in a position where, and that person, yeah, they get maybe, they get some income off of it, but I'm not in a position. If they were a professional full-time streamer where, hey, my ability to pay my rent, to pay my car note, to pay my grocery bills, my utility bills, depends on me appeasing my viewers, and you're stuck only playing a specific game or only certain kinds of games. Well, I'm talking about someone in particular. They didn't get canceled, but not in terms of canceled, it turns out they invested in a puppy kicking factory, or something crazy. They're not that kind of canceled, but their viewers a lot of their viewers were not pleased, and I felt bad for them. They're just trying to put on a show. Yeah, and the thing, but that's the difficult thing, gamer. I enjoy having employment that doesn't depend on Twitch, because Twitch, the decisions they're making are like, what the heck? Same thing with YouTube. People who make that sort of quasi-freelance entertainment, they're brave people who do it professionally. Because the thing is, to do the level of production value, the time investment, to make money, to make your full income, sustainable living wage income off Twitch or YouTube, you have to be putting the hours and the resources into this to be. You don't have the time. It's hard to have the time to do, okay, here's my 9 to 5 office job, and I also do Twitch on a full-time basis. It takes so much time, even just to have. I do 2 streams a week that are about 4 hours each tops, and the Wednesday streams might be like 2 or 3 hours. Just that alone, to do the streams the way I want to do them, it's a significant time investment, and it's hard to do other hobbies. Like, I have to think, like, okay, do I want to do certain types of streams or certain types of games, or do I want to literally, like, things that are on my plate? Do I want to finish a book I'm working on sooner? Do I want to maybe learn a new language? And I love streaming, but it's hard balancing those other things I'd like to do with my professional life and with my online Twitch life. Yeah, so it's a balancing act. And when you rely on income from a site like Twitch or YouTube, just one bad decision on the site, on the behalf of the people running the company, can cause a lot of people to lose money that had nothing to do with those decisions. All right. Okay. Oh, wow. Just in time. Mallow reaches level 4. Perfect timing. Let's see. 26 to 27. 32 to 38. 19 to 20. Yeah, HP definitely seems to be the biggest. Yeah, algorithm changes. And when I say we talk about algorithm, we just talk about like the computerized systems that determine which videos will be promoted to viewers and things like that. Yeah, how often commercial breaks will play, what the revenue cut between the person running the stream and Twitch themselves. Yeah, we'll go to the shop, buy some items. I don't know if you have a limit on how many items you can hold, because I know like Earthbound, there's a limit on, or Earthbound or Pokemon, there's a limit on how many items you can hold with you. I don't know if that's, but like at Final Fantasy VII at least, there's not a limit. So we'll see if 30 items. Okay, that's pretty generous. Yeah, it's let's see. Basically, if the screen fills up with all the items, okay. That's simple enough. Alright, let's see what items we can get. Let's buy... Pick Me Up. Revives downed allies. We'll definitely want that, but... We have one of those already. Let's buy a second one. Able Juice. Heals status problems during... So this is like... This will cure poisoning and things like that. And let's buy... Okay. Buy some honey syrup. Okay, we have no more... Okay, we filled up on items. We're stocked up on items. You have to be... yeah, and you have to be flexible. And then there's like... And you want to... There's a lot of ways to look at it, because I've had people say like, oh, you should play a popular game because that way like there are more people who watch that game. And I'm like, yeah, I could play Super Mario RPG, which is not a popular category, and have 10 people watching me, or I could play something popular like Fortnite and have like zero people watching me because it's so popular that, you know, everyone's playing it and I stand out even less. And then there's the whole balancing act of which vintage games should you play in category and which vintage games should you play under retro. Like, is this this is one of a lot of retro games, a lot of older vintage games I actually do play under retro. This is something where I think the best approach would be to play it in category. So let's make it back to that save point in the woods. Now, if I may stream, if I go off, if I stream, if I level up off camera, if I do some off-stream grinding, what I will do is I will probably just level up Mario and Mallow just one more level, and call it there. So that is going to be it for this stream. I'll be back on Wednesday, the 24th of May at 5 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. And what will I be playing? I will be playing more Mario RPG, and we'll be reading more vintage magazines to give some a little more historical context into the game. And now I am going to send you all over to... Hold on. Let's see who's live. Yeah, let's see who's live right now that I know are cool peeps. Okay, of all the people that I know are cool peeps that I'm familiar with, I'm going to send you all over to, I think, Iceberg is, I think, her name. I don't know exactly how to say that. I never had to say it out loud before. They are playing Super Mario 64. And they're playing a lot of the new Mario, the Mario platforming games that they're not really familiar with. So I'll send you all over to her, and I will see you all next time, and thank you very much for watching.